Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a slightly more expensive episode of Click R3, number 44. I have Mystic Ryan with me. We have the greatest timing known to man, as shown in the last episode. So we are technically going, it's funny, it was immediately after we ended just about. I mean, it was so close to being like, I don't know, 7 or 8 hours or something like that after we finished. It happened. So I put that as the title because it's probably the biggest thing that's happened since then. So we'll touch on it, but that's just our luck. How's it going, Ryan?
It's going all right. You know, it's funny. I actually did completely forget that was like right after the last show. Because like when I was preparing the show notes, I actually didn't even put that on there because I've like it's been so normalized now in a way.
Yeah, well, what's interesting is we have some sales data that's kind of reflective of it now, which is interesting. So in a way, we're getting here right as that sales data hits. But the last time we got together and talked about things on the podcast, we were actually theorizing that, oh, hey, what if there was a price increase? And little did we know, Sony probably already had that page ready to go live on their website. It was just scheduled for 8 hours later or something.
Oh, yeah. It was like drafted as we were talking about it.
Go figure, man. Go figure. How's everything going over there, though, Ryan? How's Rebirth? How's the games over there?
Things could be better. Rebirth's, I want to say close, John, but the game just hates my time.
It does. It doesn't respect time.
No, the amount of like I'm like, oh, I'm close. No, I'm close. No, I'm close. No. But again, like I was discussing this the last episode, I mentally can't let go of like not doing something if it shows up. So It's like I finally finished the proto relics in the coral region, and it's like you do that, and then here's the hard mode for all of them.
Yep.
And I'm like,
that's how they get you.
But like, sure enough, I spent another hour doing those. I hate my time. I hate my time. That game hates my time. I still will have it done, but I know I gotta get it done before Saros. So I think I'm still okay.
Yeah, Ryan's played and beaten OG Final Fantasy VII. I think most people that you see on these shows have probably beaten Final Fantasy VII, probably at least one. For us, for the olds out there, it was like mandatory gaming back then in the 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah, if you're in your 30s.
Yeah, it was mandatory gaming for us. Yeah, absolutely. I think most people have probably, who are online talking about games, have probably played the original. Now, if you're younger, I mean, look, the game, it looks like a PS1 game. So it's going to be harder for some people now to go back and play it. I mean, that's just how it is. Like, if I show a game to some of the kids, they go, why does this look old? Because it is. It's
My
old.
problem is, though, like, it's been so long since I played the original. And I remember, like, the Midgar section pretty well. But, like, once you leave, certain story details are hard for me to remember. And I know Rebirth does take dramatic liberties.
Mm-hmm.
So it still feels like a mostly new game to me, because I'm like, was that there? No, that wasn't there. That definitely wasn't there. But there's certain like core memories I have of that game. And so like I love the soundtrack. So like when I finally got to like the temple in the ancient city, I was like, oh, I don't like the rearrangement. It's like
that was a big deal back then, though, because we had CDs on the PS1. We weren't getting that kind of music before that generation like that. I mean, the Sega CD did some, but I mean, like that, where you had serious like orchestral arrangements and stuff, and they put a lot into Final Fantasy. No, before that, it was Final Fantasy, 1 through 6 on the NES and Super NES, where they were quite limited with what they could do with the music. So,
right,
very important to that franchise, and 7, obviously.
Yeah, and like there's a lot of tracks I was looking forward to in Rebirth, and some of the rearrangements I'm like, oh, they've nailed it. Some of them I'm like, this does not sound at all like the original. So I'm one of those people, though. Yeah.
Anything else going on over there in terms of games, Ryan? You playing anything else?
In terms of games, no.
You're just getting ready for Saros.
The goal is Rebirth before. That's the goal.
Oh, that's right. Hey, you don't got much time, man. You're running out of time.
I'm at 113 hours, I want to say.
Jeez.
113, yeah. But that's doing everything.
Oh, good call to the person in the chat. I just saw that. Got some breaking news. Good call to the person in the chat there. Metal Gear Solid movie has been confirmed. Solid Snake casted.
Is that like the new news? Because
I see it right now. It looks like it went up 4 hours ago? It looks like it went up.
Oh, because I thought this morning there was the report that they're trying to get it off the ground again. But somebody's been casted for it.
Updated 4 hours ago. This is okay. So it's the Hollywood Reporter. Okay, Metal Gear Solid movie in the works from Final Destination Duo as they ink Sony first look.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yes. Do they have? They're saying it was casted, but they also said it was updated 4 hours ago. I might have to look to see if they have a casting for it.
It's Agent Jack Bauer.
Yeah, good call though, Daniel, because I did not see that they may have casted. So I'll have to look. I'll have to see. I assume good old Twitter X probably has us covered. Is it Pedro Pascal? Probably. It probably is. It's either that or Tom Holland. Take your pick.
Oh God, Tom Holland is Solid Snake. No,
it's Solid Snake.
Please no.
Hey, Konami's not messing around, man. I gotta give him credit. Feels like Konami's back.
Yeah, they've been doing excellent work.
You see that Castlevania trailer today with the gameplay? Whew,
that looks good.
That's looking good, man.
Does look, yeah. Well, Castlevania was the holdout for sure, so it's nice to finally have that in the mix there. That was the big three: Castlevania, Silent Hill, MGS.
I'm coming up on 60 hours in Crimson Desert.
60. So you're sticking to it, it seems.
I am. I'm sticking with it, and it keeps going. The map keeps opening up, and they're like, look how much stuff there is still to do, and it's like, oh, okay. Now I get 40 hours in, they're like, hey, did you know there's an entire like base buildings management sim part of the game too? It's like, what? So you have to send your people off, and they'll go on missions and stuff, while you're doing things, and it builds up your reputation and the amount of people you've recruited and the money and resources you have. So that's like a whole other thing to this game, and it's just they just keep adding more and more mechanics into it.
Well, the question is, do you enjoy what you're doing?
I'm in chapter.
Are these enjoyable 60 hours?
I think for the most part it is. I'm in chapter 8 right now. I think people were saying I'm more than halfway through the game now. So I feel like I can beat the game in less than 100 hours. I think if I really tried to mainline it from here, maybe another 20 hours for it. And that would be fine. But the thing keeps happening where I keep seeing things on the map, like you with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, but like exponential, like 10 times more, because they just have so much stuff popping up. And every time you do something, it can have an entire quest line. The only thing is, I don't feel like I'm getting rewarded as much as I'd like to for some of these quests, and like you complete an 8-step quest, and I don't feel like I'm getting a lot for it right now. So that's my only issue. Like the gear I'm finding is so. They're like these things you slot into them that makes them really powerful, but I don't have a ton of that yet either. So maybe that comes up as I go through the story more. But that's about it. It's an interesting world to explore, but I haven't run into anything where I feel like I became ultra powerful in the game yet. And also sometimes they make you run into bases and kill, I'm not kidding, like 2,000 people to overtake it. And it takes forever. So I don't know what that's about.
You must be enjoying it to a degree to put 60 hours into it, but you don't seem completely sold on like, I'm loving it.
It's a podcast game.
So you don't pay attention to what you're doing.
The story really isn't that. There's not really a great story going on. So I feel like it's a game that you kind of explore a world, and you can have a podcast on, or you can watch an episode of a show next to it or something, and just kind of go. It's almost like going through the motions, but the world is interesting enough, I feel like, that it keeps you engaged with the gameplay and the exploration. But I don't feel like I have to really pay attention to the moment-to-moment story of like, wow, look at these set pieces that are happening, or these crazy story elements or interaction with characters. That's just not really a thing.
Right. I mean, I don't know if that's necessarily flattering, but I think for the right person, they like love that.
Yeah. Like if you're not getting bashed over the head with an hour-long cinematic, or like where they make you walk really slow to follow. So that happens, but for the most part, if you just want to play the game, you can just go out into the world and find puzzles and other things. That's not really done as much through hand holding or heavy amounts of text.
I did see one headline where people were, I guess, killing everything in the game, and now it's too peaceful. Because once
Really?
you kill something, it's like gone forever.
Yeah. I mean, man, some of these soldiers just keep showing up at these bases. It ticks down from 100%. They need to work on that, because you kill one soldier and it's like a fifth of a percent goes away. It's like, oh man, it just takes forever. That's funny though. I didn't know it was like that, where people were just annihilating everything in the game and nothing was around anymore.
I don't even know if that's true, but I read that and I thought that was funny. Like, you can just get rid of everybody.
They keep updating it too. I feel like by the end of the year, it'll be a much better game than when it launched. But the thing is, you make that initial impression at launch, and that's kind of what sticks with you. So I think there's going to be people who are fighting for it to be a Game of the Year nominee at the end of the year. But I just don't know. I just don't think it's going to make it in.
Oh, you don't even think it would get nominated?
No, I don't. I think there's going to be too many other games that come out that are just going to be like, I mean, I look now, RE9 is obvious. Most people are going to, I assume, unless some crazy wave of like 93 and 94, rated games come out, I assume that's gonna be one of them. You could fight for Pacopia. That's one of the highest rated game. That is the highest rated game, I think, of the year right now, even though it's kind of a unique one to go in. It's kind of almost in that Forza territory, where people look at Forza Horizon 5 when that was going on. This is a high quality game. It's rated like a 91 or 92. And then it's not even considered for Game of the Year nomination because it's a racing game. So yeah. Pacopia might fall into that line of, it's kind of like a life sim farming Pokemon game. So it doesn't really fit into the typical Resident Evil 9 status kind of thing,
Well, didn't Animal Crossing get nominated in 2020? 2019? What year was that?
Did it? That's a good question.
I thought it did.
Curious.
I could be, but I'm thinking strictly like Jeff Keighley TGAs.
Yeah. Let me see. VGA 2020.
I think it was 2020, not 2019, because it was up against Tsushima, Last of Us Part 2. What else was the nominees that year?
Animal Crossing New Horizons was Last of Us Part 2 won it, but Animal Crossing New Horizons was nominated. Right. The thing that's so interesting about that though is, I remember Animal Crossing sold a crazy amount of copies. And I do feel like there are a lot of people who played it because they were stuck inside with the pandemic going on, to where the judges, they're responsible for putting the nominees up. I feel like many of them played it and they were like, that was a good game. I like that. That was there at a certain point in my life where I kind of needed it. So it's going in because it had that profound effect. I don't know if Pacopia has that effect, but you can always argue, hey, it's rated a 90 or an 89, and it's one of the highest rated games. That's always a point that people can make at the end of the year for these games. So right. I think it'd be in consideration, obviously.
All right. Well, you want to move on to some gaming news here, John?
Yes, I do.
Okay, we have the PS Plus Essential April lineup is already live on PSN. That is indeed Lords of the Fallen on PS5, Sword Art Online, Fractured Daydream PS5, and then Tomb Raider 1 through 3 remastered PS4, PS5. My only recommendation here is if you're going to trophy hunt, you download the PS4 version of Tomb Raider, not PS5. Because they have that weird stipulation where you can't have a single executable have multiple platinums on PS5, so you actually want to play the PS4 version of that game to get 3 plats.
Okay.
Yeah. Otherwise, I can't speak much on SAO. You said Lords of the Fallen is okay.
I mean, I don't know. I didn't really play it much. I think I tried it out at first, and I was like, and then they did a whole update for it, but I never went back to it or anything. Not to be confused with Lords of the Fallen, though.
Right. This is the 2023 Lords of the Fallen.
Yeah, it's an okay. I mean, Tomb Raider's cool. It's about it.
Not much going on.
That's cool. Yeah, it's all right. It's all right.
We got a big PlayStation Store update though. Sony is still kicking off publishers from their store, John.
Yeah.
So as a recap, in January of this year, they got rid of The Games. That was 1,200 titles from one publisher gone. Last month, 2 publishers kicked off, 800 games total gone. This past Sunday on Easter, they kicked off 3 publishers. Go Game console publisher, they had 33 games. VRC Forge Studios had 20 games, and Welding Byte SRL had 11 games. So not a huge mass of titles that were leaving, but I think it's VRC Forge. And this was like the big headline. They put out a Jesus simulator game. And so on Sunday, they decided to enforce this.
Yeah.
So they're going, this is nearly 2,000 games between PS4, PS5, because these publishers, this is the thing they do. They never offer cross-buy. So they're always 2 tiles on the store for the 4 and 5 versions. And they're, obviously low content, asset flip. They hand out platinums. Oftentimes they're very predatory because they're misleading with the key art, making you think you're buying the real TCG simulator or flight simulator or Jesus simulator. I don't know if there's a real Jesus simulator, but that's 3 more gone. I'm curious if there's like a policy change behind the scenes or if like they're finally enforcing their own policy. I don't know, but it seems like they're taking this seriously now.
Yeah, I almost wonder if they're working out almost like an automation or an automated way to do this, because you're right. All of a sudden it's like, they're starting to really look into this now. And it makes me wonder if they've kind of got a little, almost like not a bot, but like a automated system in place now to look through some of this stuff. Cause some of them are just so obvious. The other one's pointed out, you mentioned the Jesus simulator, that's an actual game. Sean did a whole video on it.
I saw his thumbnail.
Yeah, so he said it wasn't. I mean, he said it wasn't very good, obviously. But yeah,
what do you expect?
The other one that the people are pointing out was the TCG shop simulator. Yeah. I think people got kind of confused. That was not the one that was popular on Steam. That was a knockoff of the one that was popular on Steam. So that's as you mentioned, the whole thing is they throw simulator in there and they try to copy off of ones that have already gained notoriety and to try to trick people into it. Like that even tripped up some people who were looking at this like, oh, wow, they got rid of that TCG game. It's like, no, they got rid of the knockoff of the TCG game that didn't actually show up yet on PlayStation.
Right. I think the real one's in early access on Xbox, but PlayStation just does not do that.
Yeah.
So
it'll come over eventually, I'm sure.
Yeah. But it's just, that's the thing. A lot of these publishers are just abusing it. I would only caution, I hope they're not automating it, because if you automate it, you're going to start kicking people off that shouldn't be kicked off. I hope they've got like a human making these decisions, because you need that sort of qualitative analysis of look at their catalog and, come to the conclusion that you guys got to get out of here. So,
I mean, I feel like humans haven't been looking at this because some of the stuff is so obvious. Like when they have main characters that look like Nathan Drake or something, I was like, what is this? Like,
yeah, that one showed up. I think that was from somebody else. I'm not sure if they got kicked off or not, or if they were a part of this, but I saw that image too. This is happening so often.
Yeah, and I get it. It's this massive marketplace that they feel like if they could slip one through and it tricks enough people to make so many thousands of dollars, I assume. But it's still, it's weird that it gets through what I assume to be some sort of curate. Like somebody has to look at this. You feel like
somebody should. It's 2,000 games, almost 2,000.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see what plays out, but they're gone, and the problem's still there too. You go to PS5 right now, sort new. They've got their work cut out for them.
It's so, I guess Sony doesn't. I don't know. Do they not want to deal with it? Because it's so. Do they need these games? Like if they didn't have these games, would it really be like? Would they get hit? Their bottom line get hit that bad? I don't think so. So
no, they've got to sell in the hundreds, low hundreds.
Yeah. That's,
so
it just seems weird.
Yeah, probably get rid of them. We had more signs of Sony walking away from PC single-player games. So this was highlighted this week because the cross-buy icon that was on the Sony backend, and then the PS5 and PC icons, these just show up on the console. The cross-buy one was never officially deployed, but people noticed that Sony took them down, which FYI, they actually took them down back in December, so that's not totally new info. But there was also a change to their webpage that shows all the PlayStation studios. So Bluepoint's gone, RIP. They did add Team LFG, and each one of these did get a description update. So they made some deliberate changes. Nixus Software does still say they specialize in high quality PC ports, but they also co-develop with other PS studios worldwide. For Valkyrie Entertainment, it used to say that they worked on console and PC. Now it just says they co-develop on franchises like Astrobot, Helldivers, and God of War. And then XDev, they added the word exclusive. So they work on exclusive titles for players worldwide. So it's just a very deliberate change. Yeah, this is one of those stories again where it's like it's not going to be validated until either Sony maybe says this during an investor meeting, or we just never get another single player PC game.
I kind of feel like it's that second one. I think it is like people will go, okay, well, Saros is going to PlayStation 5 at the end of April. So how many? Okay, by the end of the year, maybe it'll be announced for PC, and then it's just not. Then a year later, it's still not. Or even Ghost Yote. I mean, I would look at Ghost Yote and be like, man, if by the end of this year it's not announced for PC, then you start going, oh wow, okay, yeah, maybe they really are moving away from PC then.
Yeah, I mean, Spider-Man was the shortest one of the shortest ones.
Right.
Got to figure, but that's what was going on. A lot of speculation going on there. This one real quick. What was this announced today? I think it was, or yesterday. The 007 First Light DualSense controller that was announced. Pre-orders April 17th. Going to cost you $84.99 USD. It's a gold controller, John.
It looks good. It looks good.
You like it?
Yeah, man, it does look good. The 007 logo in the middle, like the sunburst line effects coming out of it all across the controller. On the back says earn the number. That's a good looking controller.
Okay. Well, you can pre-order it soon. It comes out May 27th with the game.
Man, I keep saying that every time I'm like, I don't need another DualSense. Then one shows up and I'm like, man, that's a good looking controller.
It's like the same color as the previous Gold DualShock 3 and 4. But now it's got
it is.
On it.
That's true. That's true. Man. I don't know. I don't need it, but
yeah, you can get a YouTube short out of it.
That's true. That's true. I could do that.
It might not pay for it, but you could do that.
Maybe we could just look at the controller for 8 minutes and 3 seconds. just look at it.
Oh God. No, we got big news here, John. Big news for everybody watching this right now.
Mm-hmm.
You now have a chance to win the opportunity to get your face scanned and your likeness put into a PlayStation game, because Sony has announced the player base program, which this is basically a way for somebody to get their likeness put in a game. They're starting off with Gran Turismo 7, where, as I said, your likeness will be used for a character portrait in the game. And you'll get the opportunity to design a permanent car decal that goes in the game too. And I don't know if you looked into this program, John. You can apply on PlayStation.com right now. And what they're going to do to evaluate the winner, there's going to be rounds of video interviews to select the winner. Mm-hmm. The winner is going to be picked based on your history with the brand, evidence of owning products, games played, subscriptions, your trophies earned in Gran Turismo. And I think this is a real quote. You'll be judged on your authentic love for PlayStation and Gran Turismo.
Authentic love. What does that mean?
Yep.
How do they judge you on that?
Well, it's a video interview, so you better be really enthusiastic about it. Yeah.
Authentic love.
I initially, the headline, I saw this program. I'm like, oh, you guys, is this like your way to just get a bunch of people to sign their likeness away?
Right.
You read into it. It's like, this is like a contest, basically.
It's a contest for that, but it is funny that you have to go through all these steps and then you get your likeness into the game, whereas they would, usually just pay people and recruit to have this stuff done for their game. And they're like, no, guys, you're going to go through a round robin of authentic love tests to see if you can have your likeness put in our game, which I assume they're not going to pay you to do.
Probably not. But this is not uncommon. I think there's been a number of publishers that have done these sort of, you can be in the game. You just have to buy something or submit or whatever the case is. So at least letting people know, if you read into this, it's like a singular giveaway. They do want to do more games. The thing is too, you're probably signing away your rights to they want to use you for social media and stuff like that.
Oh, so, yeah. Oh, they'll want to parade it around.
Yeah, if you're on board with that, then go apply on PlayStation.com.
Yeah, so I mean, you got to be able to prove your authentic love for Gran Turismo and PlayStation. So,
yep.
What that means.
You got to be, you have to have the trophies to back it up for Gran Turismo. They're hard platinums. So, but I think if you were to flash a copy of Motor Tune Grand Prix on PS1, that might seal the victory for you.
I feel like I like the sweepstakes more where they had people actually go out and race cars. That was a better one for Gran Turismo.
The full on.
They made a whole movie out of it.
Well, yeah, because it really happened.
Yeah, see?
But
They
this
can
is
make a
just
movie out of this.
But this is the first like they might do other games. You might be able to appear
Mm.
in, something else if you want to. You'll just have to show your authentic love for whatever the studio is.
Okay. Well, what's the okay? So this is just going to be a picture, I assume. You're going to be one of the talking pictures in Gran Turismo. That's all probably it's going to be.
They don't even.
They probably won't even.
It's just a picture. It's just a headshot.
Yeah, they're not going to give you a voiceover or anything. It's just going to be that with text.
No.
So what do you think what would be next after this? What's the next game you'd do?
I don't know. But I wouldn't touch this with a 10-foot pole unless maybe it was Housemark.
Housemark. You'd give it up for Housemark, huh?
Make me an alien on the next roguelite that they do.
Yeah, you just be one of the enemies and just gets their head blown off.
Yeah, make me an enemy. I'm cool with it. That'd be sick. All right, next up. New PS5 UI refresh is coming. So a lot of people have been posting about this, that they've now got access to a UI refresh. Basically, John, PS5, as we all know, since 2020, the UI is like mostly the same. Top left corner, you have games and media separated by two separate tabs. L1, R1, swap between them, pretty simple. What they're doing now is consolidating PS Plus, the PS Store, games, media, and your library in that top row. So now the horizontal row is just strictly recently played games and the welcome hub. So it's making navigation a bit snappier because you can now L1, R1 to like Plus or the store. Because like right now, if you want to like go to your game library, you got to like slide all the way to the right. You want to go to Plus or the store, all the way to the left. So it's not it's funny. It's not big. It's also kind of big because like the UI stayed the same for going on 6 years. So it's like the biggest change they've done so far next to the welcome hub and like when they were doing resume activities.
I mean, I think this looks great. It's always been weird because basically the row that you have in front of you when you turn your system, it's like if you go to set like tab all, that's all, it's just everything, right? Like games, apps, store, plus, like welcome hub. It's just everything just gets thrown in there. So I do like the idea of, okay, we're going to take the store, we're going to take the plus, which obviously they want people to sign up for PlayStation Plus, so they want that to be its own thing. And they have like your library kind of up there, your games, and you, like you mentioned, L1, R1, but then your whole row, while they do have welcome hub, are just games then. So that makes the most sense. Maybe they can move around welcome. I don't know. They like the welcome hub to just be something you land on when you turn it on. I get that.
That should be there. That should be the first thing you see when you boot up.
Yeah. So, but it's still an icon in the next to your games. So, I mean, I guess that's fine. But I do like this change. I think it does make the dashboard just look better. And you're right. They really haven't, this entire generation, they've played around with dashboard a little bit here and there, tiny little refinements. This is actually like the biggest one they've done, and it's year 6. So
yeah, PS4 didn't get a refresh till 2016, if I remember correctly. It was more of a visual refresh. This does make changes to like navigation. I'll say it is a pain to go to your library because you're always scrolling all the way to the right. So now it's just a few quick tabs, a lot easier. It's server side too. So for people that keep asking, not a firmware update. I'm pretty sure it's not tied to the beta program. It's actually, I think, tied to the system features update, which is a weird fork in the road. Some people don't like know this, but if you go to system settings, there's underneath like system updates, you can do system features updates. You can check that manually. If you have it, it'll restart the console and it might server side show up for you. I tried it for me. It doesn't work, but
I haven't tried it for me yet. I don't know. You think in PS5, I guess it doesn't matter, PS5 Pro or not.
I think what they did was prime it in the software, but it's still not turned on for me. So I think that's how I'm fairly certain that's how it works, but people can check that if you want to go to your console right now and
I'll give it. What would you do to make that happen?
Go to system features updates and system settings.
Okay.
It'll check manually. It'll say there's one available. It'll restart the console. It's not a firmware update. It just restarts. So it might show up after that.
Okay, cool. Good stuff.
All right. We got various stories for games going on, game news. Housemark did confirm that Saros has gone gold. So good news there. Ahead of its April 30th date. So very excited. And we had previews go out too. A lot of previews went out. People really enjoying the game. A few key details. The runs are shorter. So I know for people that played Returnal, that was kind of a big thing. If you do a full run in Returnal through either the first 3 or the back half biomes, I mean, that's like 3-ish hours, 2-3 hours. This is like 20 minutes per biome. So like the full thing, if it's like the same structure, might be like an hour and a half. That's maybe even shorter than that. But they're saying the runs are shorter. It's got autosave. It's got the option to suspend a run, multiple save slots. So like they're addressing everything from Returnal.
I kind of want to do this now. Yeah.
You gotta check the PS5.
What's the no, well, maybe, but what's the what's the Metacritic prediction?
Oh, Metacritic. I'm thinking high 80s.
Because we're gonna, by the time when we come back next, we're gonna be right up against it. Like it's coming up, right? Because it'll be the 23rd, will be a week before it comes out.
Yeah.
And we'll be right there, crunch time for reviews. So I don't know when embargo is gonna be on this thing. I figure because it's gonna come out on a Thursday.
Well, typically SIE embargoes are pretty generous. I would assume review keys are already out there. I don't think anybody's confirmed that yet. They're either out there or they're out there soon, because if they're confident in games, which they typically are, they let the embargo go like a decent amount of time prior to the game. Based on where we are right now, I think the embargo is like that week that we're talking about the game on the next Click R3.
Well, yeah, because the next Click R3 will be on the 23rd.
Yeah.
So I don't know if
it'd be that early.
No,
maybe Monday.
You think Monday the 27th?
Maybe, yeah. It'd be a few days.
Just in the off chance that they do push it on Thursday or something. Like literally that night we're going over reviews or something.
Right.
Returnal came in at an 86.
Yeah, I think high 80s. I'd love like low 90s. I'd be so happy for them at low 90s, but I don't know. I'm inclined to say high 80s. I'm
kind of thinking a solid 88.
Yeah. Well, I think that's maybe where it could land.
Solid 88 on this one is my guess. Slightly higher than Returnal. I think just because it's going to be more approachable, and it probably will have that upgrade. I think it'll be more satisfying each run, obviously, because you'll get stuff for it. That'll probably play into it, I think, for reviewers, because I think there were some reviewers who were just turned off by the idea that Returnal was like stupid hard at times. So I'm thinking like it, man, I'm between 87. I think it's going to be at least 1 point above Returnal. At least one.
I mean, you would think. I can't see how it doesn't match Returnal, because everything they've said about this game is directly addressing like a complaint from Returnal. So I'm very optimistic, especially with the story too. They've said the story is more like not obtuse.
Yeah, Returnal story was pretty obtuse. I will say that. You beat it, and then even though you got the different you get everything, and you hear more about the stories, you still kind of look up what happened exactly. What was that ending? So
yeah, a lot of folks finish that game and they're like, "What happened?"
Yeah, a lot of stuff left up to interpretation for Returnal. Yes. So I guess in this case, not as much. It'll be more straightforward. So that's fine. I think it's going to be a good game. I'm excited for it. It's going to be fun.
I am too. Very excited. We have The Last of Us multiplayer. We had a very interesting podcast come out, John. Naughty Dog's former game director of The Last of Us multiplayer, Vineet Agarwal, made an appearance on Lance Ely's podcast talking about his career in video games, and he gave us more insight into what happened with this game. So, like we were hearing, John, the game was almost done. Vineet says 80% actually. It was very, very close. In development from 2016 to 2023. Agarwal explains the game kept getting funding well into COVID because that's where everyone was investing like crazy, multiplayer games. Sony was too, obviously. And the game was doing really, really well internally, but as the money was drying up, a decision had to be made: make this game or the next game Neil Druckmann is directing. Naughty Dog decided to choose the project that was, quote, their bread and butter at the studio. So that was Intergalactic instead of what was considered experimental with The Last of Us multiplayer. And these are Vineet's words, the game director on this, so it's the best source we can have about it. And he broke down his thesis for this game too. He was describing his own real life experience where he was like robbed in Texas and New York City or at least it was attempted robbery in New York City. So he wanted to emulate that same feeling of like people, kind of at their wits' end and looking for resources, getting desperate. And he said he was actually able to reconcile a life experience playing the game internally, and he didn't have nightmares anymore after playing this game over and over again. But by the time it was canceled, he said it was devastating, like absolutely devastating to him.
How long did he said it was like 7 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the game, I mean, it had that scope creep, right? Because this is what was previously like closed boxed multiplayer, like The Last of Us. And, they scoped it up and up and up. I'm curious where that tipping point happened of like, we're turning this into something much better. He doesn't outright say it, but he's basically confirming this was like extraction. You go in, look for resources. You think there's still, this has to have PvE elements.
Yes.
The cordyceps virus didn't go away.
I mean,
it
really depends, because if it comes out and it's what Arc Raiders looks like right now, where Arc Raiders if you look at Arc Raiders, kind of has a little bit of Last of Us vibes to it, to where everything's kind of junk, like nothing is super polished in the world necessarily. Your weapons are kind of holding together with duct tape, and so it has more of a gritty feel to it. You don't have, like what zombies or undead, whatever, running around trying to eat you necessarily, but you don't have machines attacking you and other players. So it kind of has that. But if it was going to be an Arc Raiders before Arc Raiders, because I assume it would have come out before then, with the way it seemed like it was lining up, feels like a miss then. But also they explained what it was. Like, I mean, Naughty Dog's not going to sit on this game the whole time. They're not going to turn into how, like, I think of Rare with Sea of Thieves, and how Rare did so much before then, and now all they do is Sea of Thieves. And even when they attempted like Everwild, they didn't really do it. It didn't happen, really. I guess it still kind of happened. I don't know. But that's the point, is they became a Sea of Thieves studio. And that's just what they would have, Naughty Dog would have turned into, the Last of Us Online studio. And that probably would have been it. But still, it seems like they missed an opportunity on the potential to have something like an Arc Raiders extraction shooter. The thing that is, I will say, is kind of a shame, when he was talking about he tells us we already know technically, in that the reason this all happened with the multiplayer stuff and live service, because what happened during the pandemic, where people are inside and a lot of money was flowing into gaming, and it seemed like people wanted to have social experiences while staying at home because they couldn't go out and have social experiences at that time. And a lot of the big companies reacted by just, what you'd expect them to do, react and dump money into that stuff. Unfortunately, it takes a while for those games to come out, and people eventually go outside again. So as you mentioned, this is something that had that scope creep. If you turn back the hands of time, the pandemic doesn't happen, do we have a Last of Us Online that's more like an arena kind of shooter?
It's tough to say, because Fortnite's still a thing. Call of Duty annually still a thing. So I don't know. I guess it would all be depending on like budgetary discretion that SI had at the time, because that was right. That was like that fiscal year where Sony allocated like crazy capital to those 12 live service games by fiscal year 25. So maybe it wouldn't have been nearly as much, but it's hard to say.
Yeah, it's like that what if scenario of maybe they do a more like withdrawn, like Last of Us Online, and it's just that factions too that people were asking for. It's $40, they put it out and move on. I mean, at least they would have had something out, and I wonder if that would have just been a better outcome than this thing's just canceled and we're moving on. Hard to say.
Well, that's the thing. You like write it off at that point when it's canceled.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. It unfortunately doesn't make sense as much to a lot of the gamers out there, but if they can write off hundreds of millions of dollars, they technically make more money doing that with the break on taxes and stuff versus trying to put the game out and selling it. So you're right. I mean, that's why we see that happen there are games that will get canceled right before they come out. I mean, he said they were 80% done this game.
Yeah.
So there's probably still, at 80% of a game that size, there's probably still a game they could have like used assets or thrown something together and really put something out if they wanted to. But you're right. It's probably like, nah, put it on the shelf and we'll write it off.
John, tell me I'm wrong. Like, was this not like a slam dunk game though?
Oh no, this would have done well. Yeah.
Out of all the live service stuff, dude, PvE extraction in the Last of Us universe.
Yeah.
And that Naughty Dog quality.
Yep. This would have worked.
The properties never. It's so ironic that like they struggle to find like that live service black hole game, and they conceptually probably had it, I think.
Yeah, it's kind of the thing that's weird to me is like how many people work at Naughty Dog?
Hundreds, 400. Some their headcount's high. It's the hundreds.
Yeah,
there's never an accurate number, but no, I mean
500 somewhere in there.
To your point, the issue is like, yeah, they put this out and they realize like, oh, it's successful, and now we have to maintain it because we're going to be making a boatload of money. You're not getting the single player games from them anymore. The amount of people it takes to maintain those games is crazy.
Yep. You would have had to have come up with a few hundred more people to work at Naughty Dog to get it done. But that's what I mean. I look at, like, do I think this would have been a better bet than Bungie with Marathon? I do. I mean, the Marathon's an extraction shooter from Bungie. As he was describing, this probably would have been an extraction shooter from Naughty Dog. Yeah, I would have rolled the dice on Naughty Dog with that. And Bungie has 800 to 900 people working there. I'd be like, nah, that's got to be the size of Naughty Dog then if we're going to attempt this. And I'd feel a lot better at it then. Because you're right. The half the battle right now is getting anyone to pay attention to your live service game. And The Last of Us being the IP that launches it gets you most of the way there already.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like this Horizon game. As much as people go back and forth online, how popular is Horizon really? It's obviously it's popular, so it has that brand awareness. So yeah, it makes sense they're going to take a chance on it here with that. But man, The Last of Us Online would have been. The people who had knowledge of it were like, yeah, it looks like it's gonna be a really good game, and it's a shame.
I've heard it's good. It's just crazy negligence that they let it go that far. Probably both Sony and Naughty Dog. How do you keep making it for that long? And I don't know. It's just wild. It has a lot of time and money gone.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
I got a few more stories going on. If you want to, I don't know if you want to catch up on some chats here before you move on here.
Let me see. We have already got Daniel, but I want to give him a shout out to him again, mentioning the Metal Gear Solid movie there. Fallout says, do you guys have any recommendations for a recent RPG release that you would recommend to pick up on PS5? Just got the PS5 last week.
Recent RPG. It has to be recent.
Crimson Desert's an RPG.
My mind immediately went like, oh, Dragon Quest or Octopath or
Dragon Quest 7, the new one that they did, the reimagined one, that one's pretty good. If you're looking for like a more classic, traditional turn-based RPG, I like that one quite a bit. But honestly, at this point, it's Crimson Desert. Once you get over some of the initial hurdles, is in terms of value and time proposition, it's there for that. That's the game I'm playing right now.
Starfield came out too.
You know what? That's a good point, actually. Starfield, because that would also be like a first-person, shooter style game then. But Bethesda, I actually liked Starfield, I think, more than other people did, although it rated fairly high on like review sites and stuff. And now with the PS5 version, it has the free update that they put out. I think it's a $50 game out of the gate too. And yeah. I will say this for people who have not played it, I think it's worth playing through the game to see a very, very interesting concept they had for Endgame. That if you have not played the game, you have no idea what I'm talking about, so it's not a spoiler. If you have played the game, you know what I'm talking about. It was pretty cool. Like it's something I've never seen in any other game ever. So for that alone, I do recommend people checking it out and see what they think. You could also go with Trails. Yep, there's all kinds of Trails games you can go through there. That's a whole thing to get into. Monster Hunter Stories.
Yeah, that was recent.
Yep. Yeah, I did like Starfield. Starfield's a good game. It's worth checking out.
Just didn't turn into that Skyrim and space people were hoping for, it seems.
That's true. No, the loading screens were crazy. They were constant. Like it was broken up so much. Dave says, thoughts on Zach Krieger's new Resident Evil movie? I've not seen
Zach Krieger.
Zach Krieger. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a RE
Is it good?
So I wouldn't know.
Oh, okay. Were they doing? I think I saw someone say there were screenings for a new Resident Evil movie, but I'm not sure.
So we're both out of the loop on that one.
Okay, there you go. I like the games. I don't watch any of the movies or anything they put out.
Sorry, Dave.
Games are fun. Dave says, Lords of the Fall in 2023 is so worth going back to, in my opinion. And also, do you guys remember your first 5 platinums? I'm sure Ryan does. I have a list in chronological order. It's so far 1 Stellar Blade, 2 Elden Ring, 3 Final Fantasy 16, 4 Lords of the Fall in 2023, 5 working on Requiem now.
Dave, if you'll be patient, I'll check for you right now.
Oh, going back to the list.
Thanks to your generous chat there. I do know I was there day 1 for trophies. So the very first patched game was Super Stardust HD. It did not have a platinum, but the second patched platinum game, the first platinum ever, was Uncharted Drake's Fortune.
Mm-hmm.
And your boy was there. He did earn that one. But I am drawing a blank on the 4 after that.
Oh,
here we go.
Okay.
Yep. Super Stardust HD, Uncharted Drake's Fortune. Pain was one of the first ones. Nova Strike. These are all no plats. My Nietzsche is on there. So that's the Toro game. Linker in Shadows, Blast Factor. Wow. My second platinum was Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection. Okay. So that's number 2. 3 was Infamous. No, 3 was Bioshock. Oof.
Wow.
And then 4 was Infamous. Number 5 was Unreal Tournament 3.
It's a good game.
It's a hard platinum too.
Is it? Is it on a lot of online stuff?
It's, well, obviously online. I think actually, like, you can do most of it offline with bots, but there's a trophy in there where you have to like get 50 kills on 200 days or something. And like, you can manipulate the system clock, but even doing that, that still means you have to just 50 kills, back out, clock forward, 50 kills, back out.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, it was a pain in the ass.
Someone tried to get clever with that.
Yeah, well, somebody had a dumb fucking idea is what they had.
Yeah.
And Bioshock had the crushing mode. So yeah, those are my first 5 plats.
Joey Dr. Lupo, the sticker. Thank you, Joey.
Thank you, Joey.
We have Just Dave says, do you think the PS6 disk drive will only be used to play PS4 and PS5 games? I
believe you will see PS6 printed games.
I don't think they're going to do anything with the Blu-ray medium. I think what we see now is probably the last Blu-ray medium we're going to get in gaming, because there is one that does, I think it's like quad layer. It does 128 gigabytes. But there's no point in doing that because we have games that are more than 150 gigabytes at this time. So I think what we have now is basically where it's going to end. But I think they will, as Ryan says, print PlayStation 6 logos on discs. Yes, I think that will be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Joey says, hi, Mystical Ryan.
Hello, Mystical Joey. Appreciate you being here.
Nor Fair says, hey guys, y'all tired of me bringing up GTA 4 yet? No, we need more GTA 4 because someday there'll be some kind of remaster or remake or something of it. And then it'll be your time, Nor Fair, to call on Ryan for the online play.
You are more than welcome to keep super chatting about GTA 4. Love you, buddy.
Toasty says, Ryan, what would your rap name be? 50 Platinum?
No, PSX, like DMX.
Okay.
So
Daniel says Oscar Isaac is playing Solid Snake in Metal Gear Solid movie.
Oh, is that who's playing?
Is it? I mean, it sounds like the news like just recently came out.
It's got to be like recently developing because I didn't see a name attached to Snake just yet.
Oh, he looks like he could be Snake.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. There's like, I see it.
I'm like so bad on actors, unless they're like really well known.
That's true. I'm kind of like that too. It really depends on who it is. Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see him being Snake. Yeah,
he could be Snake.
Yep, I see it.
All right. Well.
Oh, and then enough. Neon says, "Will Sony talk about the PC strategy shift someday?" Well, hey, they could be pressed by investors. That's very possible.
Well, there's a May meeting. If they're going to say anything about it, I would think it might be during that. So we'll see.
You could also look for language from them mentioning focus on console things like that, like shifting strategy to put more of a spotlight on the console, things like that, to say the console's very important for us right now going to next generation, that kind of thing. So look for
Exactly.
that sort of language as opposed to, no, we don't want to sell more games. They're not necessarily going to say that outright. So
Yeah, they'll John, you're 100% right. Yeah, they're not going to directly say no. They'll phrase it how you're saying it. All right, we have more. Let's get back to the game news here. So, Ghost of Yotei had a recent raid drop today. There's no matchmaking, just a little FYI, but it's a very big, difficult raid that Sucker Punch says you're going to want to meet up with friends or arrange with other players beforehand, but they will add matchmaking later. That's what's going on there. Insomniac Games renewed and expanded their lease for their Burbank, California office. We've had a lot of stories as of late for California labor, how high it is, and that's the reason why there's a very specific choice of all these companies laying off labor in California, outsourcing to other countries. At the very least, it's somewhat noteworthy that they just renewed this building and they're expanding into 65,000 more, no, not more, but I think in total 65,000 square feet in the Media Studios campus. So at least for Insomniac, they're expanding, getting bigger, better. Good stuff going on there. And then we had a rumor, actually fan speculation and a rumor about a new Uncharted game. So, John, initially, we had fan speculation based on this Instagram post from the creative director at Naughty Dog, Sean Escagee, where he posted this picture of a cannon, a very old-looking cannon overlooking an ocean view. And somebody on Recent Era, on the PS Studios OT, user XX spotted this as Fort George in Trinidad and Tobago, which is it's a very Uncharted sort of on-brand looking location.
Yeah.
After that, Tom Henderson on the Insider Gaming podcast mentioned just briefly that the company flirted around with the idea of doing Uncharted 5 before COVID. He said he doesn't know what they were trying to do, just that they looked into it before COVID. Now, to get people brought up to speed on a few things here, just to add context, around that time, that was when we had that report from Jason Schreier that Bend was proposed an Uncharted game in collaboration with Naughty Dog. They must have said no to it, wanted to still do their own thing. So that might line up with at least the humoring of it based around that time. Sean was also rumored from a Daniel RPK report from their Patreon that he is indeed working on a new Uncharted game. And Sean came back to Naughty Dog in 2021. He was there where he was the creative director on The Lost Legacy. He left to Crystal Dynamics, worked as a creative director on Marvel Avengers, came back to Naughty Dog in 2021, had the same role again on Last of Us Part 1, and now he's working on this new game. So with that said, there is some plausibility that, yeah, this is like an Uncharted game or something like that.
You think it's the next one? I think it's 5.
I don't know what Uncharted game it would be, but I mean, so like I've seen some people discredit the Instagram post, and sure, it could very much be that, but also like these studios do site visits. They do field research. It's a very common thing if you're a big studio and you have that kind of money.
Yep.
I mean, so like, and the guy's saying research, I think he's teasing.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, because he wouldn't just post that if he's not, like, if it's serious NDA, we can't let people know we're here, we're doing it like we're serious work right now. You're right, that does feel kind of like some marketing in there to be like, hey, yes, we're going to be announcing this soonish, so let's have some fun and show them this cannon. But I mean, that's the thing though. Uncharted, obviously, very popular franchise for them. Why wouldn't they do more Uncharted? But that would also kind of, we just talked about The Last of Us Online. That would actually start to explain more and more about that of, okay, there's actually several games within Naughty Dog right now that are being worked on. And as I know, the obvious thing that people are looking at is, oh, it would be a new Uncharted game, Uncharted 5, and it would be with like Cassie. And that seems like the obvious next play. Man, an Uncharted 1 remake would actually be pretty good.
I wouldn't be opposed to that at all. I'd love it. I just think it seems like it's probably Uncharted. If we think that the company like is really big on mitigating risk right now, and for Naughty Dog, you're saying we spent how much money on a game that was canceled, and then Intergalactic's a new IP, so that's unproven right now. I think they kind of want something like on the back burner of like, well, if this doesn't do good, we've got like an established thing to go back to. And it's, it's been almost 10 years since the mainline entry, less so for Lost Legacy. Whether it's a new entry or not, I am personally ready for more Uncharted. It's been long enough, I think.
And I think people tend to forget how old the first Uncharted game is now. It's what? It's going to be 19 years old at the end of this year, right? Yeah. It's the end of this year. It's going to be 19 years old. 2027, a 20-year-old game. It seems like a good time for a remake of it. Nice little 20th anniversary in there for the release. Just saying, you could remake it.
Well, I mean, previously when they were called PlayStation Studios Visual Arts, that's what they were working on. Then Herman Hulse got the job for head of PS Studio. Looked at that game, said this is costing too much money. Then it was moved over to Last of Us. Then Last of Us was brought into Naughty Dog in-house. So maybe it is a remake.
I mean, I think it would sell well.
Well, I mean, if it is like that's something they can turn over faster than like a new mainline entry.
Yeah.
And I think Naughty Dog kind of has that pressure of like, let's get Intergalactic out and like, God forbid, let's try and get something else that's like maybe a year after that or 2 years after that. And then that gives them pacing again to do whatever's trailing behind this Uncharted game.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still, it'd be nice to have something Uncharted related come out. So remake or not, I think it'd be fun.
Remake or not.
What if it was a cross-gen remake?
Like PS5 and PSX, you mean?
Yeah, it was an Uncharted remake and it was a cross-gen title coming out holiday 27.
I mean, it would have to be, right? Because
for the 20th anniversary, yeah.
By the time it comes out, it's not shipping on only PSX.
Right.
Only PS5, yeah. I'm so curious if there will be any PS6 exclusive games. Because in theory, there's like zero reason why that should happen outside of strictly trying to get you to buy a PS6.
I mean, that's going to be we've already talked about how much of a challenge, which I'm sure we'll talk about the pricing soon, that it makes. I mean, I literally, when we were talking about it before it happened, I was like, man, if this is true, this changes like everything about how we're viewing next gen. Dude, exclusive games is like the way you're going to get people there.
I feel like it'd be so deliberate to like bar something on PS5. It's like, well, I mean, even the SSD thing, it's like, Rift Apart would probably struggle on a PS4. At this point in time, like, there's conceivably no reason why a game should be exclusive, even though it's always been a page out of Sony's playbook. That's always their model. Their model has always been, they'll do exclusives on the aging outgoing system, and they'll do exclusives for the new one. It's every PlayStation they've done that. But, things do change. And so we're getting into a diminishing return that, I mean, what could they fall back on to say this can't be done on a PS5? Probably nothing.
That's true. That's true. And you know what? The funny thing is, technically, the PS5 could play PS6 games. I've wondered if this is one of their strategies because they can just stream the game to it. Yeah,
that too. They could. Well, if they have PS6 server blades. They're going to have to establish new server blades for PS6 games.
Yeah, well, that might be a strategy for them. It's like, hey, you got a PS5. Guess what? It's also a PS6 if you have PlayStation Plus Premium. We'll just stream the game to you.
I can't believe they still run PS4 ones. You've got PS5 one. You're telling me you can't launch? You can clearly launch PS4 games on those. Why don't you just like decommission the PS4 servers and offload all the PS4 games on those PS5 systems?
I mean, I guess there's that off chance that you have a game that just acts really weird for some reason with the, I don't know. I'm trying to explain for them. I'm not sure. I mean, we still laugh about them keeping the PS3 stuff upright because they have to. So
in theory, they don't even have to. I cannot believe they're still running them.
Well, they gotta get those games working natively.
Well, I'd love to see that soon, but we all know how that conversation normally goes.
Yeah, I will say RPCS, dude, that thing keeps getting updates, and they just figured out how to make Twisted Metal, which I think one of the creators of it was like, it's never going to work, and they got it to work like well enough because they did some other breakthrough apparently that's like SPU cores can run now 10% better on lower end hardware. So
Yeah,
I don't know. They keep getting it figured out.
We'll jump to that story real quick. RPCS3 contributor Elad discovered new SPU usage patterns and coded a way to optimize them more. So that's going to benefit like all games, especially the SPU intensive ones. So the example they used was Twisted Metal, which is a very SPU heavy game. A lot of the first party games are SPU heavy, but that game is showing 5 to 7% faster FPS average. So what you were referring to, that was James Stannard. He did like 90% of the programming of that game for the CPU usage, the SPU usage. He said they really maxed out the PPU, SPUs, the RSX at the same time. He was really proud of it back then. But yeah, he recalled how back then he was convinced PS3 would not be emulatable, which to his credit, John, he's right for a number of years.
Yeah, I mean, we need some pretty powerful hardware. If you consider the PS3 was running on like 500, 12 megabyte or whatever, or 256 megabytes, and then you go, oh, and that's split between the RSX and the cell. And now we have systems that have 32 gigabytes of RAM and then a big video card and a processor that has 16 threads. And we're starting to get 1080p emulation out of it. It's they're not wrong. We're kind of they're doing a lot of cool stuff with RPCS3, the emulator, but they are in a way kind of brute forcing this whole thing with hardware that is significantly more powerful than the PS3 in order to get it there. But they're doing it. It's just 20 years later, getting to this point.
Well, and look, I don't want to be that guy, but God, I was saying that on videos that were like 8 years old now. I'm like, it'll take a long time. 8 years later, here we are. It can happen with some very dedicated community efforts.
I'm curious what kind of a PC could we put together for a few $100s to run a PS3 game?
I mean, they've come so far that it can't be that bad. People have already done it.
I think like $300, you could probably get a decent enough system together with like used parts to do. I mean, I know 1080p emulation is still kind of tough for the PS3, but like 720p is about what a lot of those games run at in terms of resolution. So that actually wouldn't be too bad. I'm thinking like a nice $300 system would be able to do well enough with probably 70% of the PS3 games.
Oh, I mean, if you're looking to just match PS3 performance, no, yeah, absolutely. The minimum is already so low on those games. They have like internal res like 640 for some of those games.
Yeah, I have a bunch of used PC parts. I bet you I could look them up and come up with like a build that'll do 1080p at 30, definitely 30, maybe 60. Pretty cheap. I think you get workstations that already have good power supplies, and then put like the GTX 1080 is like $80 now. I bet you that paired with a decent little workstation would work.
Chat's calling it out, John. Maybe that's a video idea for you.
Maybe I already have the parts right now.
Maybe I'm just teasing a video that's coming up on Sunday or something.
Actually, I do already have all those parts. I'm thinking about it. I technically could do it.
All right, yeah, do it up.
See the PS3. You know how long it takes to rip something, dude. I rip because I have one of the Blu-ray drives that can rip the PS3 games, and I filled up like a 4 terabyte drive in an afternoon, just sitting there ripping PS3 because they're so like many of them end up getting pretty large. You end up dealing with 20, 30, 40 gigabyte games because it rips the entire Blu-ray. It's not like, oh, it's gonna figure out what parts these. No, it's just like that just clean rips the whole thing. So if it's a 25 gigabyte Blu-ray, you're probably getting most of that.
Yeah, the whole image, basically.
Yeah, that's kind of annoying.
You did mention this earlier, John, but we did have a new report from Paul Tossi writing for Forbes about checking in on Marathon and where they are right now. Now, in a vacuum, if you were to judge the player numbers, hours played, like the average player, like how long people are playing the game, review scores, it's not bad. Yeah, it's all decent numbers. The budget, however, is a different story. Paul says they can confirm the budget was over $200 million, likely more than $250 million, not including the cost for maintenance and new content. And as a reminder from Alinea Analytics and Paul previously, the game is around 1.2 million copies sold, most of those on Steam, where Sony does not even recognize full revenue. So, they're sitting at like 40-something million dollars in revenue for this game. So they're upside down. They're pretty upside down on it.
Yeah, and according to Paul, who obviously has good sourcing within Bungie, like 70 75%, something like that, of the player base is on PC. So you do the math and you go, wow, that's kind of problematic for them, for a studio the size of Bungie. Destiny 2, people have noticed it's not in a great state right now, and that's what Bungie has. They have Destiny 2 and they have Marathon. And last I checked, Destiny 2, it didn't really look like they had a ton of players flocking to that game right now. So Marathon is kind of their thing, and I have a lot of questions around how they are going to make this work, because I played Marathon for, it's been out for a month. I'd say I played probably for a bit more than 3 weeks. Got up to the level cap that you needed to be to do the end game part, and I had you needed a certain loadout value. I think it was like 5,000, like in terms of the currency of the value that you take into there. So basically, if you die, you lose a really nice loadout. But my question to them is, how do you onboard players when the longer a season goes on? I know the idea is they're gonna reset everything back to zero at the end of the season, but as the season goes on, people just get more and more powerful at the top, and there's really not a great entry point, because what we noticed, like me, MVG, and Nate were playing, what we noticed is when that cryo, the last end game level is offline, you have people who have like incredible loadouts, and they just flock to all the other maps, including like the beginner maps and other things. So we're trying to extract, and people with like nice sniper rifles they're just camping the extraction, just killing people. So we're not able to really do a lot. We kind of have to sneak around, and then once you light the extraction, it makes a bunch of noise and they come for you. But we found many times we were just dying because people had nice stuff, and it was kind of demoralizing to where we went, I mean, there's a lot of other things we can play than this, because when you die in an extraction shooter, you lose your stuff. So you just kind of end up going back kind of to square one with it, and they give you free loadouts, but they're not great loadouts. So it just kind of got almost repetitive in nature, because we're just going to die. So what are we doing? And then I think that's why people look at the line. And I know the Steam chart watching, I'll say, is kind of annoying, because it's like every day, every hour, there's people drawing lines like we're back in like calculus or something. Like, oh, here's the line, here's the trend line, and it's like, what? It's aren't stocks or something. But it's hard not to notice that it is declining. And I think a lot of that's because they built an extraction shooter that is PvP in nature, but also very hardcore in nature, to where you're playing the game and it's constantly that mentality of like sweaty gameplay. Like, go in there and it's the meme where the guy's leaning forward in the chair and he's playing really hard, because if you mess up, you're gonna die. Like, that's it.
Right.
And it's like, do people want to come home from work after a long day and then end up feeling after 2 hours they're upside down in their playtime, like they're net negative, and they feel like they wasted a lot of their time? Probably not. Maybe they just want to relax and play Call of Duty or something. I don't know, where every time you hit something, a guitar riff goes off and you level up, and it's like, oh, this is nice.
They're looking for a dopamine rush instead of like the crushing reality of, oh man, I just died and lost my stuff.
But here's the other thing, though. So I played a lot of Arc Raiders as well, and there were many times where I would run across people and we wouldn't fight each other. I'd be like, yo, don't shoot, I'm doing this mission. And they're like, all right, cool. Just wander off. Dude, in Marathon, you run across somebody, you guys lock eyes. It's immediately like fight comes up on screen and you guys just start lighting each other up. I have never once in Marathon come across someone that we didn't just start fighting after a couple of seconds. Never, not once. No one uses prox chat in that game. Nothing. So I don't know. They got to figure something out, because I feel like it's just going to continue kind of declining down.
It's what's interesting is that it, from the outside looking in, it would appear as though they made an enjoyable game to a certain type of audience, but they did that at a budget where this needed to have like broader appeal. Yeah. Like, it's not a bad game, but it cost you that much money to make it, and the math isn't mathing. So And this is not like not even close to Concord or High Guard. I know people love saying that, but these, they sold copies. They have an audience, but what does the road look like here to profitability? Because it's very far away.
To your point, though, you mentioned before they canceled The Last of Us Online because they realized we can write this off, or we'll go that route. With Concord, they were able to go through a quick process of, we're pulling the game back, we're going to refund copies, because I'm sure they were like, we're going to write this down, right? That was the idea. We'll pull this back. You can't pull back Marathon. They've sold more than 1 million copies. That train's left at the station is done, So now they have to figure out what their plan of attack is, because you mentioned, Paul said like 250 million is the belief on the budget here.
Possibly upwards of that. Yeah.
It doesn't just stop there, because they're continuing to develop for this game. And that's the thing that kind of gets lost in live service games until occasionally we're reminded with Fortnite recently, where they're like, hey, we're spending a lot of money on Fortnite and other things. Sure. But it keeps going. The money wheel keeps turning. You got to keep throwing money at it. And so my thing is, they're going into a period where they have to rely on the player base now more so than selling copies of the game, because I don't think they're selling at a serious velocity right now of these copies. Right. So it's like, okay, we need to start extracting money from the people who already spent $40. But if they don't buy these things we're putting in here or the currency, then we're just working further into the negative. I think what they should have done is they have their PvP maps. These are all PvP maps right now, right? Because it's a distraction shooter. I think they should have came up with maps that were completely PvE. Just like, there's no PvP in this. You just go in, we have these cool world bosses, there's objectives, and you guys just work through it together, and then you beat the final boss, and you guys get cool stuff, and you leave.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you die because you're going up against a really strong raid boss, but you're not getting murdered by other people necessarily, and everyone can kind of work together. And that's the other thing with Marathon. There's not really a feeling of like community, I feel like. So with Helldivers 2, that game works well because there is an entire sense of community. That's the whole game. It's just community, basically. It just doesn't exist in Marathon. You feel it's very isolated.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's going to be appealing to a casual audience that they really need right now.
Yes, I would agree. I don't ever pretend to be an authoritative figure on extraction shooters, but I feel like the game needs broader appeal to make back that budget. And I think you do that with PvE.
Yeah, I've played more than I thought I would recently with Arc Raiders. Nate and I played a lot of that game, and we had fun with it. It was a good time. And yeah, we would still die occasionally with people killing us. But I will, as I mentioned, there were many, many times where you come across somebody, they look at you, you look at them, and then they wave to you, and you're like, "Oh, hi!" And you just keep walking. Does not exist in Marathon. Marathon feels kind of like an arena shooter that also is an extraction shooter, is kind of the way it feels. And I think that's also because the way, like, with how Bungie, maybe it's also its first person, but like Bungie sets up a really good, like, feeling shooter. Like, they're very good at that, to where you feel like you can take down a bunch of people because everything's very snappy and responsive, and then you realize you're in over your head and you die. But they're very good at the first person shooter that I think really plays into the arena style. And now here we are with an extraction shooter. So I don't know what the solve is. That's my biggest problem. I've thought about PvE. I don't know if they're gonna have enough time to make a PvE section of the game all of a sudden.
Well, you kind of have to do like a sort of almost a soft second launch of like, here's like a big content update. It's a free content update. It's for all players. And here's this like, sort of homogenized PvE campaign thing you can do. You can do it solo. You can do it with friends, and, kick up another marketing cycle. And hopefully that, is the sort of gateway for players to buy it on that alone. And then that might get them to engage in the PvP content.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I don't know if they're gonna have a last gasp at this thing. Like, what's the last real swing we can take here? And if it is PvE, I do hope it works, because it kind of feels like Bungie's riding on this game.
Well, a lot is when you spend $200 million.
Well, that's the thing, though. Also, not only they spend $250 million, they also spent time away from what they should have done, which is going to sound boring, but like, let's face it, Destiny 3 probably would have launched better and probably would have much higher numbers right now, if they went that route. But which is a shame, because I would rather studios do stuff like a Marathon, to where they want to try something different and new, but they just it's just not working for them right now.
Oh yeah, but like the other problem is, like, what if okay, Marathon comes out, what if the game costs $50 million to make? It's like, they're on the cusp of profitability and they made a cool game. Yes. The issue is they spent $200+ million on it.
Yeah.
It's like, we're not sitting here saying it's bad. We're not sitting here saying it's awful, or it might have like maybe player onboarding. Maybe we're arguing it's a little bit too niche for the kind of player behavior it's fostered. But it's, all signs are pointing to people playing the game, enjoying it. Like, it's just, you spent $200+ million on it.
It's kind of weird that they spent. I mean, that's the thing where the budgets for some of these games are kind of hard to understand, because I feel like if you spend $250 million on a game, you would have more than 3 maps. That's the thing that kind of throws me off. I go,
yeah,
okay, you have 3 maps that most people are going to play. They have the 4th map, which is the end game one, but there's like high requirements to where I'm sure some people will never get to that, even because they get aggravated or like, this game isn't for me, and they don't even see it. So the 250 doesn't make sense to me when I see the 3 maps. I'm like, really? That seems weird. And then the menus are kind of done up in a way to where it's not like you're walking around a hub area or something. No, it's just like you snap to menus and you have little avatars that'll talk to you. Parts of it do feel like a high budget game, but then other parts feel like, okay, this is where maybe they shaved off the corner here for it to work.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, then you have to sit there and consider how much more do you shave off to give it such a vanilla version, ask people to pay for it, and then, here's the roadmap of how we're going to make it better and better. You start off with something low and you build upon it. But what you have already is principally not enough.
Do you think there's a number that they're looking at? Like, if it gets this bad, we gotta move off this thing. Do you think that like exists in their mind of like, this is where the line is?
Oh, I mean, between Bungie and Sony, there is absolutely a contingency plan. We don't know what that is, but I mean, the games these games by nature have post-launch they always have post-launch plans, but that shit changes like that once the game's out there. It either like immediately it could be a Helldivers. Oh, we ramp up hiring, and now we got to like do all this last minute, buy more server space. It could be that, or it could be damn, we had 2 years ahead of us committed from our publisher.
Yeah.
And they can back out of that very quickly, and we're underwater, and studio goes up. So we don't know what that looks like between Sony and Bungie right now.
Bungie's not cheap to run either, man. It's like 800 some odd people there.
It's Bellevue, Washington. Those are not cheap salaries.
Yes, yeah. I see a lot of people recommending they should do an arena shooter for it as well. Yeah, honestly, at this point, just start throwing every possible idea at Marathon. Come up with an arena shooter gameplay mode. Come up with a PvE gameplay mode. I would just start building on it immediately, because they already have the extraction shooter part. I know the idea was Marathon's an extraction shooter. Sometimes you got to change, you got to shift a bit, and this might be the time to do it. Start thinking of other things you can add into the game, because like I said, like the gameplay is good, the shooting is good, the movement is good. It's all there. The components to put it together, it's all there. Just got to come up with some different things. Got to do it quick.
All right, John, let's move on to, yes, indeed, the pricing situation going on with PlayStation hardware. So yeah, after ClickR3, price increase is confirmed. PlayStation 5 disc consoles are now $650 US. The Pro console is $900 before a disc drive. A digital edition, also $550. Very expensive. It's a lot more than what the console cost at launch. You mentioned sales numbers. We have the first sales charts coming in from Famitsu. And I want to preface, like, they were always struggling in Japan. These numbers are crazy. So for the week ending April 5th, and these are from Famitsu, 840 units of PS5 Pro. 840 units. 558 units of the disc console. And the digital edition sold 12,100 units. So they still offer the language-only model. That did not get a price increase, which I believe they're still selling that and the regular non-language locked digital edition. But I would think that's not contributing to this number at all. So the vast majority of consoles sold was the Japanese language only, not price increased model. But the numbers, these are Xbox numbers, like historical Xbox numbers where they struggled to break into 4 figures.
Did you see the week before numbers? Because they have the comparison for that. Did you see that?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. The drop off is insane because they're really creeping towards the Xbox numbers.
So the drop off for week to week, right? For, we'll say, the PS5 and then the PS5 Pro. The week prior, the PS5 Pro sold 4,662 units. It dropped down, as you mentioned, to 840 units. The PS5 base edition, 2,801 units the week before, 558 units the week after the price increase. That's substantial. Like, if they did not have that Japanese only model, the region locked one, dude, this would be crazy.
Well, so the Pro, the thing about the Pro is that it's been doing bad in Japan ever since it came out. And I mean, like, bad to the point where it's not even keeping up with the sales pace of like what it's doing in the West, which in the West, it's like very comparable to PS4 Pro. Because as we always add this reminder, like, it's low volume. It's never going to be a high volume machine. It's like 13% in the US for like current buyers of PS5. And that like matched the life to date sales of PS4 Pro in the US. I think it's like for Japan numbers, it's like been way behind that. So it's always been like struggling there. But yeah, 840 units is low. The disc console is super low, but they've always been struggling in Japan. It's funny to see it like next to Xbox basically for those numbers, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I will give Nishino credit. I don't know if he saw this coming from like a mile away or something. Like, man, we're gonna have to figure this out because prices are gonna go up. So we need kind of what Nintendo did really, but they saw it and they said, okay, yeah, we'll region lock it, we'll make it cheaper. Because if you look at the comparison, dude, this region locked PS5 for Japan is less than half the price, I think, of what the PS5 Pro is now. Like, that's a pretty big difference. People do the conversion. You can't even really do that. Like, people will go, oh, it's this much yen, so it's actually this much in US dollars. The market in Japan, like, if you look up how much average salaries and stuff are, and then you compare it to what the PS5 Pro costs, it's like it's like half their monthly salary for a lot of them. It's like, oh wow. So that's kind of the issue that they're running into, man. We've talked about how you can turn up the price on these systems and eventually you'll find that kind of breaking point where people go, I'm good. It's like, that might be enough. I mean, I think they're kind of finding it a bit in Japan. And if anything, they're like towards the end of their generation now. So if nothing else, this is at least showing them where maybe the I guess the parameters would be for their next generation. But this price stuff changes a lot because we've talked about what's the price of the PS6 going to be. And there's a $900 PS5 Pro on the market. That thing's got to go.
Yeah.
That thing's got to get out of here.
So let's jump right into the rumor section, right? Because obviously when this news broke out, people are like, what does this mean for PSX? So over on NeoGAF, Kepler L2, one of the people that have been like somewhat privy to the AMD product roadmap and had some things correct before. So now every time they post on NeoGAF, like, people highlight the hell out of it. So They were talking about the rumored bill of materials. Obviously, it's a rumor. Take it with a grain of salt. They're claiming the bill of material for PlayStation 6 is $760, which means if Sony would be willing to subsidize, and that's not before like other costs, which is like making the damn thing, fulfilling it, getting it to retailers.
Tariffs.
They say, yeah, bill of material 760. If Sony is willing to subsidize for a new console generation, they're still, avoiding the $1,000 console in theory. And somebody also followed up. They're like, okay, what does that mean for like storage, disk drive? They're like, that price is 1 terabyte storage, no disk drive. Another reminder, that doesn't mean it won't have a disk drive. It just means because we had the Insider Gamer report a while ago, and Tom Henderson's been incredibly well sourced for hardware at the very minimum. That report at the time, he mentioned that the current plan for PS6, 2 SKUs, no disk drive, 1 width. So in theory, you might be looking at a model that will be a lot if you want like the disk drive too. But just everything we're hearing implies 1 terabyte, no disk drive. They could still subsidize. Another post they mentioned on, again, NeoGAF from Kepler L2, the PS6 SDK could have like a breakthrough with neural texture compression. So keeping game file sizes in check. And that could be a way to like justify the 1 terabyte storage size, because that sounds pretty small for 2027, but that's where they can save the most costs, obviously. So that's the current like rumor mill surrounding the price. It's the same argument I've made before. You have to get rid of Pro. It was true at $700. It was true at $750. It's very true at $900. It's going to get phased out, which means now you have a product lineup of $650 for that disc console. PS6 is going to have to slot in a little bit above that, obviously. You can't sell $1,000 console. You just can't. I'm inclined to say that they will subsidize, but they probably don't have a lot of room.
Yeah, I think if I had to take a guess right now on April 9th, 2026 for a system that's probably out holiday 27, so shot in the dark kind of thing, I'm thinking it's $799.
$799, no disk drive.
No
1
disk
terabyte.
drive, which means it's going to cost me $800 or it's going to cost me, it's going to be $900. Sorry. But I think that wild card is out there, Ryan.
What wild card?
And I think what I saw, what's his name was talking about that Moore's Law, which I'm sure is probably in your notes, their own smart delivery system, for Xbox.
Yeah, we'll cover that real quick. Okay. Yeah. So I'll talk about what you're mentioning. Tom put out another video. Moore's Law is dead. Again, to validate here, Tom was correct about PS5 Pro stuff. He got an SIE takedown from a prior video. And he was actually correct about some power saver stuff. I know some people don't take his word for it completely, but he's one of the only few people saying things. Anyway, recent video he put out, there's an alleged SDK feature that Sony added to SDK 13, software development kit for people that want to know what that means. Based on a Sony source speaking with Tom, this is called Playgo. They describe it like smart delivery. I'm not sure if that's the best analogy, but basically what they're implying here is that when you download a game executable, they can now, there's discretion on the hardware you're downloading to. Now, like right now, if you download a game on the PS Store, if you transact, you can see a PS4, PS5 version. What they're describing here is that there's now a new option for developers where the game will know what system you're downloading to. So there's a texture package for base PS5, and it only goes to base PS5, only goes to Pro, and then one for the power saver mode as well. Now, conceivably, why would you need that? Because, well, if a handheld comes out, you don't want a handheld downloading a bunch of high-end 4K textures for, PlayStation 6 native games, obviously, or something like that. So that's the theory, is that there might be a new breakthrough for possibly keeping file sizes in check. Go ahead, John.
Well, I think the wild card. So PS6, $800, man, $700. It's crazy to say that. $700 is like almost best case scenario. I sort of feel like, because while bill of materials is more than $700, and you need to throw a controller in there, and there's shipping, logistics, and all this other stuff, subsidized down to $700, $699. Yeah, that might be best case scenario right now. The handheld is out there. It seems pretty clear just based on a lot of the stuff we're getting. Most likely, I assume they're launching that next to the PS6. Like, here's the handheld, here's the PS6. And I actually think the handheld could come in at like $600. Believe it or not. I actually think that could be a $599 deal, which I think it'll be quite enticing to people, especially if the PS6 is that much. I think there's actually a lot of interest now in handheld gaming just outright. So I think that could be really cool. But the wild card, Ryan, I think is that handheld chip does go into a PS6 Lite, a PS6S, and I think they have that at $500.
It's tough to, I it's tough to buy into that, and I don't know why, but I feel like it gets into a territory that's just too. I don't want to say it's too complicated because I think we understand it perfectly, but your product lineup then looks a little too not PlayStation to me.
I get what you're saying.
Like yeah, like to have a PS6 Lite, then the handheld, then the base console. If they do another Pro machine, it feels like a non PlayStation move to me. I mean, I know they've done it with like the PlayStation TV, for example. Context is everything. That was a very different kind of device for a very different kind of time. Like I would even push back on the idea that the handheld and PS6 launched at the same time, because that just seems like a very overwhelming proposition. Like here's two of them.
Right. I can see that.
Some fans are going to feel inclined to like buy both. And I don't know if you want to be asking your customers to be dropping $1,200.
I hope they drop 5 different SKUs so then I can watch Ryan try to go through every single one and get all of them all at once on Best Buy's site that night when they go live.
John, we're all going to have to do that. You know that.
I know. But I'm trying to figure out ways they can approach this, because I really do think there's a serious concern that if their almost baseline system is $800, even $700, they're not gonna sell as much as they're used to then.
Probably not. No. But like, that's the thing. They got to be committed to subsidize. So
yeah.
I mean, like if you look at like PlayStation 3, for example, they lost money that whole gen.
Yeah.
They didn't like make money to like the very end,
They subsidized that thing like crazy.
And I mean, obviously times are much different, and I'm not saying they're going to willingly go back to the PS3 days, but there has to be a willingness to, like, if you are sticking to the traditional console model, and you need volume and you need to stick to it. So and I don't want to pass this off as, oh, it's because of all the other economic factors, but you can't ignore them. The tariffs are eating into them like crazy. The part cost is eating into them like crazy. Sony would love to get the price down as much as they reasonably can. I just think they don't want to go back to PS3 losses.
So I think what you'll see, because people are saying the PS6 Lite is just a PS5. The PS5 running on older CPU, like I'm starting to see limitations now. I mentioned Crimson Desert. Dude, when you have too many NPCs around in a town, the frame rate starts to chug. There was one boss fight. I'm not gonna say which one, but it was very clear there were a lot of puddles and there was a lot of water on the ground kind of around you in different spots where ray tracing was involved. Dude, the PS5 Pro, never seen this before, 15 frames per second maybe in a boss fight. I was like, whoa, what is going on? So I'm starting to see limitations this generation is all I'm saying. And I think part of that is on the older, like Zen 2 CPUs. So I think that will be one of the bigger jumps. But here's the thing. As we saw with the Xbox Series S, they kept the same CPU for the Series S and the Series X. I think it was clocked slightly differently, barely, for the Series X. That might have just been overhead for memory constraints or something. But they will have to basically keep the CPU relatively intact across both. And that alone will be a significant jump over what the PS5 can do.
Right. Yeah, it would be a big CPU jump. It would be a micro architecture jump because you're moving off of Zen 2. But the other thing we keep hearing, at least rumored wise, that there's a big RT jump.
Yes.
Like 6 times like base PS5 performance. And that's true for the handheld even.
Mm-hmm. So
the handheld will be punching far above an actual PlayStation 5 and RT performance. So it makes sense. I'm not inclined to say that they would like offer that many different PlayStations, but
it does feel crowded. It does.
Yeah, I suppose we'll see. I mean, they might need that entry point. Like they didn't feel that in 2020, whereas Microsoft did. Maybe they'll feel it in 2027.
But even then in 2020, they had that thought process of, at least it almost felt like to me, is 500 too expensive? Because they came out with the I don't know. I had to go back and look just to see. I don't think anyone was predicting that show for the PS5 was going to have a second model split off of it.
No, none of us, I think, were expecting that digital edition. Well, at least, the pricing for the digital edition is what shocked me.
Right,
Because
right.
I thought like, oh, $50. And it's like, why would you even buy that? But they were actually pretty aggressive, and to your point, I think they always lost money on the digital edition.
Mhm.
I don't think there was ever a time where they made money on that console.
But they
the
knew.
disc consoles were always profitable. Or not, excuse me, not always profitable. They started earning a profit on that console like 6-ish months after launch, and then various quarters throughout the fluctuation of the chaoticness, they started losing money on them again.
But they knew you buy that digital edition, you're buying off of our digital store, and that's it. So
Yeah.
the PS6 Lite digital only, no disk drive ever is going to attach to that thing. It'll look different too. It'll be like the PS TV Pro. There we go.
Stupid.
It'll be small too, because it'll be like the handheld chip.
I mean, well, we've heard the handheld will be dockable anyway. You really think there's like that much of a reason to offer like a $100 less box? So if you're thinking the handheld 600,
well, if the handheld's like, if the
500.
handheld shows up and it's 700, then if the S is 500, that's $200 difference.
Oh, yeah.
It's for the person who's going to play Call of Duty, NBA, and Madden every year, and they're like, I just want will this work? And it's going to be 4K just like the other ones.
The problem is, if anything, that's almost proposing the idea that you're like launching immediately with a base and pro. You might not even you probably wouldn't even want to call it PlayStation 6 Lite or something. You'd probably want to call it PS6, and then the mainline console we expect, that's called the Pro.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so you have a Pro and then a regular PS6 day one. Interesting.
Maybe, I mean, well, I'm humoring the idea. Like if they release that many products, handheld, like the actual base is what I'm suggesting, and then mainline, they sort of reorganize that as actually you get your Pro console on day one, and then the base machine is that $500 box.
You know what's funny? Actually pretty funny is Phil Spencer mentioned that the Series X was their Pro console at launch, is what he said.
Yeah.
It's just interesting. It's the way you present it there. It's like, oh no, this isn't the light version, guys. No. This is the PS6 at 500. Okay. But you want the PS6 Pro, it's 800.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's very easy to just put a marketing spin on it, and all of a sudden it sounds a lot better. But then the onus really falls on them because if that's still the handheld APU, that might be a really tough way to like sell that off as a proper PlayStation 6. Because it will be better, yeah. But like then you're like really
clock it higher. The chips,
sure,
clock it higher, and maybe you can play around with RAM configurations. Just obviously storage size. I assume you can play around with that too. The handheld's going to be very interesting to see how they figure that out alongside of all. It's just. This is a lot. I understand the handheld makes a ton of sense for them because we see like it's weird right now that everybody has a handheld but Sony. Like everyone has one.
Well, they'll be there now soon.
Yeah, that's the nice thing is because I do feel like while Nintendo has been the ruler of handheld systems, Sony did offer some very interesting ideas in that space, and they've just been missing since the Vita. So I think they will show up with some pretty cool ideas once again. And I'm hoping it's within reason in terms of price because I think it could do pretty well.
I agree, John. All right, let's move on to a rumor from our own friend, Nate the Hate, about a state of play. Seems like we might have one soon. Interestingly, this actually, somebody before Nate put this date out there, but Nate initially got the attention here because he said he's heard about a state of play coming before June. This would be April 16th next week, and it's mainly a third-party focus show. But the person that put it out beforehand, Alir on Twitter, they said that we should still get an end of May, early June state of play as well. But like this rumor came out, and then we also found out AC Black Flag's probably going to get revealed the same day. So I think people are already, assuming that maybe there's a third-party state of play. That's where you'll see the Assassin's Creed announcement. Maybe something like that's lining up,
Assassin's Creed is they're going to show that on April 16th. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's I think Nate came back and said that. So that seems like what's going to happen here. And I think people were trying to put the pieces together, and state of play was getting thrown around. But my understanding, Nate said that was unconfirmed, but more and more people have shown up and been like, we kind of think there's a state of play next week. So look towards that date on the 16th. My only thing is, I don't know if this is going to be like a big state of play. Like people were like, oh, Wolverine. It's like, I'm thinking nice 20, 25-minute third-party state of play.
I would think that the only first-party announcement, if they even had one, wouldn't be an announcement. It'd just be like a Saros trailer before the launch.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. Why not? And the most you get for Wolverine is them to announce that there will be at some point a Wolverine state of play weeks later, weeks and weeks later at the most. But I kind of feel like this is just going to be a third party state of play. But I'm actually excited to see Assassin's Creed Black Flag resynced. I liked Black Flag, so I think it'd be really cool.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, the fun twist would be that Capcom shows up with Devil May Cry 6. That'd be cool.
Is that going to happen?
It was rumored for a bit with the last event that happened, and it didn't happen. So I don't know. That'd be cool if it did, because Capcom has just been on a roll, man. So if they show up with that, it'd be pretty awesome.
Okay. Well, I hope you get that.
I probably won't, but that's fine. I guess if anything, they would announce it probably a day or two before. I don't think it's gonna be a situation of they announce it tomorrow. So.
It'd be either Monday or Tuesday or the day before.
Yeah.
Literally the 3 days before the 16th.
Yeah. I just don't think it's going to be I don't think it's going to be one thing hype up like they've done with other state of plays. So,
yeah. All right, moving on. We have a new acquisition from SIE. Confirmed via the SIE blog, the company acquired Cinemmersive Labs, which is a UK-based machine learning and computer vision AI company. Whether it's ML or AI, it's all the same damn thing. They were founded in 2022, and their team brings in specialized expertise in computer vision and machine learning. They're going to join SIE's own visual computing group and contribute directly to the state-of-art visual computing in games. So this, in theory, according to the blog post, is going to enhance gameplay visuals, improve rendering techniques, and unlock new levels of visual fidelity for players, which, as for Cinemmersive itself, to provide context, seems like their primary technology breakthrough is this like thing with VR and the parallax effect. Like if you go to their site, it's a very particular like technology they've built out. So there's that. And then the company itself's like really small, like 10 employees small. They're not big at all. It's a startup. So I wouldn't really think much of this. I'm not sure what you thought of this, John. To me, this sounds like big tech company wants to solve a problem. The startup solved it or something.
I assume it's just more development for technology within Sony and PlayStation. And I mean, we know they're like all in on machine learning and being able to upscale images. They're doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes rather than just let's make the GPU, the chip much bigger. They've already gone over this. So people were looking at that going, oh my gosh, they closed down Blue Point. Now they're buying another studio. It's like, they're not going to make a game, guys. They're going to come in and help them out with like their algorithms and stuff behind the scenes.
Well, it's like, I think you're just buying the patents, the technology, and then you're like going to dissolve them or something.
Oh yeah.
Like you bring the people in, you bring like their core tech in, but like, dude, Apple does this all the time. Google, like that's the startup game. You like solve a problem or something, get some capital investment, then you sell.
Get the payday. Yep.
Sell as soon as you can. So if anything, I'd say congrats to Cinemmersive.
Yeah, they got their payday. That's all it is.
Founded in 2022, sold in 2026. Not a bad deal.
Not bad. Yeah, good for them. Jeez.
We need to do a startup, John. We need to sell.
We got IT, internet things.
Yeah,
gotta solve some problems.
All we got to do, John, is come up with a company, make a very fancy website, and just plaster AI all over it
Mm.
and
Just use
talk about
AI.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
got it.
And then somebody will come knocking and they'll want to buy us out.
You need
And
a
when
cool name though. Cinemersa is a pretty cool name.
and that's probably what got him a payday. I mean, John, I would sell the company in a heartbeat for 20 million.
You wouldn't play hardball, huh?
There's we both walk away with 10 million if we're like, come on, like, what do you want?
Their logo is pretty cool too.
I see. That's what I'm saying. You just have to make a cool logo, put AI all over it.
Hey, get Claude on the phone. All right, we'll figure this out.
I'll sell for 20 mil. Easy.
Yeah, it's that easy.
Yeah, well, yeah, you gotta try. All right. Oh yeah, PlayStation Studios Mobile. You remember we had the one post on Blue Sky from Jason Schreier about the Dark Outlaw Games closure. He also mentioned the 50 layoffs for the PS Studios mobile division. Well, now we have a report from MobileGamer.biz. There was a LinkedIn post from an affected employee that claimed the entire mobile division had shut down. So we don't know if that's like true as of yet. I mean, this company says hardly anything about this mobile team, which they formed in 2022. Like that was when they brought in 2021 Nicola Sebastiani, the head of Apple Arcade, formerly, to establish it. Whatever happened there didn't work out. He left, and they also picked up Savage Game Studios. They named him to Neon Koi. They shut down. Now there's new head of mobiles. That's Chris Davis and Olivier Coutamanche. But I don't know. We're hearing the mobile team might like be dissolved or something.
It's interesting that they would think to move away from. I mean, I guess nothing panned out from it. I don't know. I mean, we've had some mobile stuff with the Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah, I if I had to say anything, I would think they're coming to the conclusion that they just don't need like a whole division for this.
Yeah,
because like they have MLB The Show going.
Yep.
Ratchet and Clank Ranger Rumble, and that's with another studio, OBB. Steel Frontiers with NCSoft, and then NetEase helped them bring Destiny to mobile. I think you just like let the studios sort of collaborate. Like, why do you need to make like
out?
Yeah, I would think that's what's like. Why do you need like a PlayStation Studios mobile division?
That's fair.
Which, if any, here's the thing. Back then when they formed this team, I'm like, oh, that's how you do it. You get the talent, get people that know this space, and they did all the right things. But I don't know. It seems like another case of them getting into something, realizing they just can't figure it out, and then they have to walk away from it.
It also takes a while to get that done because you got to hire the right people, find the leadership, put everyone together. Whereas you mentioned, oh, they get NetEase and NetEase gets it done not like that, but it's the groundwork's there. They have the systems in place and they're like, yeah, okay, cool. We'll get that moved over to mobile for you in a couple of years, as opposed to this is going to be a 5 to 6 year process of getting everything set up before we have something tangible to release. It's like, well, this is a contract. Also, they're just not that knowledgeable in the space to even, I think, set up a studio as it is. So probably a better idea to just pay people to help them out and figure it out through companies that already exist.
Right. That is exactly it.
Also, do people, fans of PlayStation, really want Sony spending their time setting up studios for mobile divisions? I mean, just be real about it. Like,
no, I mean, well, that's the thing. Like, if it's additional capital and it's different people, like it doesn't bother me necessarily. It's like, okay, that's the right way to do it, but they just couldn't seem to get it off the ground. So that's at least what we're hearing about for mobile. I went over that story. We went over the RPCS3 thing. The Sony CEO, Hiroki Totoki, was talking about the transition from electronics to entertainment. So he was speaking with Bloomberg about that transition from consumer electronics to, Sony used to be known for CDs, computers, phones, things like that. And with that recent headline back in January where they're spinning off the TV business with TCL. So they're going to own 49% of the company and TCL is going to own 51%. And TCL is going to be like completely controlling distribution and utilizing Sony's tech. But anyway, the whole conversation with this Bloomberg interview that the CEO had, he gave this quote here where he says, quote, "It's difficult to differentiate the products in the area of consumer electronics, and that environment invited new entrants in the industry into the industry from Korea, followed by China. China, as you understand, has an enormous domestic market, and so backed by that market, they export their products. The consumer electronics market needs massive scale, and the competition comes down to volume and price. Unfortunately, it's very hard to maintain that volume in Sony." So they're just explaining this is why we're primarily an entertainment company. He goes on to say that they want PlayStation to be the best place for people to play and also the best place to publish. And it is their biggest business right now, which not surprising. We've known that for quite a few years now.
Yeah, it's just PlayStation's grown so much within Sony that's like that's their cash cow, which is once again why the PS6 has to work. I mean, it's coming back to that, but that's just we're a year and a half out from it, so that's it'll be fun. It'll be fun to see how that goes. Best place to publish though.
Well, that's what they have to foster is good developer relations. Jeez, I can't speak. Yeah, it's a notable thing though. Like it's not directly PlayStation, but you've noticed like over the years, like they were a consumer giant, electronics giant, and that's not Sony anymore.
Yeah, I think when they moved away off their TVs and stuff to like they were working with like TCL and stuff now, it's like, man, Sony was growing up like the electronics, specifically hardware. And you're right, it is kind of like transitioning more to entertainment. It's interesting.
We've got a number of third-party news stories, John. Third-party stuff going on here. That Cyberpunk 2077 Pro patch is out right now. Looks really good. I don't know if you had a chance to look at DF's video about it.
I mean, I have Cyberpunk installed. I didn't get a chance to fire it up. I wanted to see it like natively in person on an OLED display. But I mean, it looks good. That's always been the thing though, is you expect to see the PS5 Pro basically run the PS5 quality mode at 60 FPS, and that's what it's doing. They also have a 90 FPS mode in there too, which is interesting. I wanted to see that. That's the one I'm curious. Just I don't know. You don't see a lot of 90 FPS games on consoles, so
nope. There's Ray Tracing Pro with 30 FPS, and you can do 40 if you have a 120 hertz display. The 90s for the performance mode if you have a 120 hertz display, and then regular ray tracing, 60 FPS. Does look fantastic though. Looks gorgeous, and it's using PSSR too. Natively baked in, so you don't have to use the toggle either.
Oh, okay.
So it's just
I still think I'm at this point we're getting in the position where these games look incredible at 60 even. I'm so inclined just to turn on 60 and not even bother with the 30. I remember we talked about with the Horizon, wasn't it, where you were playing it the whole thing at 30 and I couldn't believe it.
Why could you not believe that? Dude, when that game launched, the performance was like very smeary looking.
It was shimmering a lot. I know. Yeah.
It's just, it's an action. It's an action adventure. Like, yeah, not worry. Yeah, I'll play it in 30. I would have loved 40. I'm loving the 40 FPS modes. I'm so on board. I'm so on board with those. If every game offered 40 FPS modes, I'd probably take it every time.
Yeah. That'll be actually, you know, it's funny. We just talked about the handheld. That'll be really interesting to see because I assume they're going to use a high refresh rate, probably LCD. I'll see how that goes over people. Screen, and they'll probably have VRR built in. And I bet you 40 FPS gets used a lot in that handheld. So it's good to see them using it more and more in these games. Those are all modes that I assume will translate over.
And that'd be nice. I mean, a lot of the existing power saver mode games, which are not, directly a performance profile for it, because you can obviously target that thing specifically. But if we assume the power saver is a fallback mode, even those have 60 FPS options. So I mean, you're going to get high frame rates on that handheld, which would be nice. Really nice. Shift Up has acquired Shinji Mikami's new studio, Unbound. Pretty big deal there.
Oh, it was like right around April. Wasn't it April Fool's Day that got announced?
Yeah, it was, I think.
Yeah, I think some people were like, is this real? Yeah, that's random. Hey, shout out to Shift Up. I know they had it's like a mobile game.
Nikkei got us a victory.
Yeah. So they had the mobile game, but clearly Stellar Blade took them kind of to the next level because they're also now very interested in console or just PC development. Like kind of going to that next stage. They're working on their own, I think, big follow-up to Stellar Blade. But now you got Shinji Mikami in there with Unbound. They showed a piece of concept art, and it looks weird, like you'd expect. Looks kind of horror themed as well, I guess. So it looks very uneasy what they showed. So I'm curious to see, because whatever he has, obviously was shopping it around as it is, but it got Shift Up's attention. The way though he was talking about, the CEO there was kind of talking about Shinji Mikami, some admiration to where I was wondering, is this more like, oh cool, Shinji Mikami, we can work with him? I don't know, but Shift Up becoming a publisher, interesting.
I mean, it was pretty telling when they went public. When they went public, it's like, oh, you guys really want to scale up and probably turn into a big conglomerate. So they've brought in their first studio.
Hey, I mean, if they can get something good with Unbound, and then they also have the follow up to Stellar Blade, and they're doing another game, probably another mobile style game, but they got stuff going. So interesting to see kind of the rise of Shift Up right now.
They're doing good so far. We have a rumor from, again, Nate the Hate about Final Fantasy IX, John. So this was a podcast where he was going over a lot of Nintendo predictions, but he did briefly touch on Final Fantasy IX. Not really a good update here, this rumored remake remaster project. He said the last update he's heard is that the game is still on ice. So Square could turn back into it one day, but based on what he's heard, there's been no movement whatsoever.
Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, the moment's kind of passed anyway for it. Like, they were doing all the celebration stuff around Final Fantasy IX. Yeah, it's too bad. I almost wonder if it was a situation of they had the idea for a remake, but they weren't sure how far they wanted it to go, or if they go too far, like what they have with Final Fantasy VII, what'll that turn into? Whether it's because Final Fantasy IX, for many Final Fantasy fans out there, especially ones during the PS1 era, that's like the best one. I know 7 is like very popular, obviously. 10 also very popular. 9, I'd say for a lot of like hardcore Final Fantasy fans, they do look at that as the most technically sound, like best Final Fantasy like game outright. So if they mess that up, that's going to do some damage. And the last thing they do right now is damage the Final Fantasy brand, because there is so much talk about how that fan base is only getting older. And it's just, they can't seem to appeal to a younger audience, even in Japan with that, where it's clearly marketed towards heavily.
Yeah. It's a shame. What's puzzling to me is like, what is the problem? Because I mean, we were hearing this it's not like a full remake project, and you really shouldn't do that anyway. I think you kind of have to spin up kind of a Crisis Core, reunion where it's like, it's still principally the game, it's,
I do. I also get a little concerned with Square that they feel like they're kind of out, specifically Final Fantasy, on turn-based RPGs. They do a lot of other turn-based RPGs, I understand, like outside of Final Fantasy. Man, it feels like the way that they talked about Final Fantasy 16 on the build-up, and it was kind of like the younger generation doesn't get it. It's I mean, that's basically, they're like, it doesn't make sense when the visuals get this good for people to just stand around. And then here comes Expedition 33 that does very, very well, and tells me that for a game that was a new IP, if you had Final Fantasy attached to it, that's good for so many more million sales, I think. So I believe they could still do it, but it makes me wonder about that too. It's like, do they believe in Final Fantasy and turn-based RPG anymore?
I don't know. Well, it seems like they don't, but I would love to see an alternate timeline where 16 was turn-based.
Oh yeah, I'd be very curious about that, to see how that would go.
How does that sell?
16 was cool too. It had some incredible battles, and I'm like, man, if that was just turn-based, I get what they're saying as we did this crazy set pieces. You could still do that in turn-based. Like, you could have moments happen where a boss gets to a certain HP, and then all of a sudden they're in orbit and they blast you with Bahamut, explodes everything.
Well, dude, look at the Knights of the Round Table animation on 7.
Just put the controller down and watch for a while.
You can go make a sandwich while that's playing out. So they've always had it like in their blood to design like over the top shit. So you could have did that again.
Absolutely could have. But I would like to see them stick with turn-based, but do some more in terms of just innovation with it. Like, why you could still do turn-based, but play around with some. I know we've kind of gone through some innovations. Like, obviously we see with Clair Obscur was building off of things like Lost Odyssey, but also like the reaction-based stuff where you have to press a button at a certain time. I feel like there's more there that can be done. And it's kind of up to Square to innovate further on it, yes. But they should be able to. Also, especially since the other thing that people don't like to hear is as we are all getting older, the developers are getting younger. And yes, they are coming into these. And so did I think it was director on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, who's working on part 3 right now.
Hamaguchi?
Yeah, he mentioned in an interview that we all think inside of Square, they go, we want to remake Final Fantasy VI. That's the one, right? That's it. He's like, actually, they all kind of want to remake Final Fantasy 13. And we're like, what? That's what they grew up with.
Yeah, the younger
They're
people.
Like, that was our Final Fantasy. It's like, oh yeah, a lot of the people there now that are coming up are in their like early to mid 20s, and we're just old. That's it.
Well, and that's why they like also are like, if we don't do 7 now, we're gonna die.
That too. It's more. It's true. It's true. But also, again, the younger developers coming in don't have that kind of pull towards 7 because they didn't grow up like we did. 13 apparently. That's the one.
That is the one.
I don't mind it. You know what? Remake 13. I'm curious.
Little ashamed it's not more 10. I feel like 10 was on that cusp.
Yeah. 10 is, I wouldn't mind seeing them try to remake 10. I would just be interested to see how they go about it.
Just keep it fucking turn-based. Okay, 7 remake, it's, I like the battle. Please fucking keep 10 turn-based. Just don't fuck with it. And
I wouldn't mind it. I just want to see what they would do with 10. I feel like they could stick with the turn-based stuff. They could. The visuals were good enough then, I think, to where it won't run into presentation problems like they look at some of these other games.
Just give me new texture. Just give me just redo the textures.
That'd be a fun game to see them redo.
Nah.
No, man.
I don't trust them. I like 10 too much. So now I'm like in that vulnerable.
Oh, okay.
I'm in that vulnerable fan space where it's like I love it so much that if they touch it, then I know they're gonna like do something I'm not gonna like.
They're gonna reimagine it completely.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just throw you off.
They're just those key moments I wait for, and it's like it doesn't sound the way I want it to, and I'll just be a big baby about it.
It'll never be good enough, will it?
Nope.
Never be good enough for you. Don't even try it.
Next up, we have the Xbox Game Showcase and Gears of War E-Day Direct confirmed for June 7th. Just want to point that out there because obviously they're basically a third-party publisher now, so PS5 fans can stay tuned for what might also be them confirming Gears of War finally for PS5. That's the last one not confirmed just yet. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah, because Halo, I assume, is gonna. There's word that Halo is gonna be dated for end of July. Which is cool. I'll obviously be playing that. I'm gonna play it on PlayStation. I'll play it on Xbox. Probably try to get. We'll go for the platinum in that one, Ryan. It's fine. We'll do it.
Okay. Well, you say like it's a drag. You know what? I'll do it.
Since I'm gonna boot it up on the PlayStation, it's just disgusting. Seeing just Master Chief on the PlayStation like that.
Assuming I get review code for that, I think I'll try and do that. I might go for it.
The platinum on it. Yeah,
we'll see. I know
it's gonna be like a Master Chief controller on PlayStation, and it's just gonna look gross. I'm gonna have to buy it.
You think they'll do it like a actual like hardware for it?
Yeah, they'll do it to annoy me.
Wow.
Watch. They're gonna go all out. It'll be like Grunt birthday party controller or something. Have like the confetti with a little grunt on it.
Brutal.
Gosh. Either way, I'll be playing through that campaign multiple times. Great campaign. If you've never played through it, it's awesome. Provided they don't mess it up, because Halo Studios is kind of messed up right now. So that's great.
As long as the library isn't a pain in the ass.
No, I think that's getting redone. I mean, yeah, you're the one who did the interview, and so you asked him about that, didn't you?
I did. You know what's funny is he didn't give me like a clear answer on that, and then like with other publications, he's like, "Yeah, we're changing it."
You should have been like, "Stop beating around the bush," okay?
Well, I'm like, why are you telling me? Come on.
Are you painting arrows on the library floor or not? That's what they did with the remake Halo anniversary.
Also, Starfield launched on PS5 recently. We had this conversation. from the lead creative producer, Tim Land, speaking with Games Radar. They said very directly that they're going to keep working on the game. So he said, quote, "I won't get into specifics, but when we launch a game, our plan is always long-term support. To what level that happens or the significance of that, how it manifests, is open to interpretation." Since the game launched on PS5, I've seen that dialogue reopen about the game. John, you touched on this earlier, but it's like a lot of people were not happy about like it wasn't the game they wanted. Like the space exploration, how empty it can feel, all the load screens. Like, there's been a lot of people talking about how, and Todd Howard said this much, it's not, a 2.0 update. And IGN put out that really good piece about how you can't really fix the game. So we'll see how committed they are to like adding more content and changing it. Cause maybe there's like a timeline here where like down the road, if you don't like it now, maybe you'll like it later, but I suppose we'll see.
I still think it was a cool game, though. That's the thing. It's if you're a fan of space, I think it's worth checking out. Because
if you're a fan of space,
well, like I'm reminded occasionally when the U.S. or whoever decides to do something in space, and here comes Artemis 2. Man, people are really interested in space. You see a lot of discussion. You see a lot of people online liking and retweeting and quoting it. Like, look how cool this picture is. It's awesome that we're seeing all this stuff. People genuinely care about space when we finally do something like tangible with it. Like we're actually going to the moon and then coming back. And it's like, eventually we'll, I don't know, try to colonize the moon. Or I don't know. But either way, we're doing things with space, and you can see people still have that wonder about it. So I think when people saw Starfield, they were thinking about it that same way of like, man, I'm going to get to explore space, but in the Bethesda style. Kind of was like that. But then also people went, man, space is kind of empty. It's like, I mean, yeah, it is. So I think Bethesda didn't think to, like I would call it, video game it up, to where it's like, oh no, actually every planet has like a different species and it's colonized and there's houses every 2 miles or something. No, sometimes you go to a planet, it's just empty.
Yeah,
that's it. It's just empty. There's nothing there. And there are times, though, I will say, really, really cool moments where maybe you're on a planet that has a moon, and it's like, it's kind of a moon with like a ring around it, sort of, and you're just walking in this field and you look up and it's actually orbiting the planet you're on, and it's just you kind of realize you're actually really small in that world, and you just see it kind of almost sunsetting down in front. It's real. There's some cool moments in that game. But the thing I really like is the end game. Like it's such a cool idea, and unfortunately you have to play all the way through the game to see it. But when you do, there's an aha moment there that's like, okay, that's actually, I've never seen that before. So I recommend people playing it. It's good. $50. I think it's worth it.
Okay. Big proponent of Starfield over here.
I enjoyed it. I mean, I played through it on the Xbox when it released. It's better on the PS5 Pro or even the PS5 because of all the updates they've done. So, yeah, also it might just be because this is actually a good time for it to release with all the space stuff going on. I honestly wonder if people are going to buy it because of like all the stuff happening right now with Artemis 2. And it's interesting.
I mean, I feel like I actually would like it. Usually that kind of friction doesn't bother me with the whole you go somewhere, there's nothing there kind of thing. I guess I'd have to see like once I play it myself. And I've got it right now, so I got to put some time in on it. But
you have it,
yeah,
interesting.
And
how do you? Well, you bought it? You just bought it?
I mean they provided a code.
Oh, product provided by Bethesda.
I wanted to try and like get decent time in it and on it before it came out, but it just didn't really work out that way.
Well, they like for example, when I played it, they didn't have like a way to drive around on the planet, from what I remember, and they added it in a patch later. So that's already there, for example. So even just driving around the worlds is easier, like getting around. So it's I think you would like it because it's it does have those moments of just quiet, being on a desolate planet. And there are still things you can find, like materials you go through. Or sometimes, one of the cooler parts is when you're going through space and you actually come across like a space station that's abandoned, or people are like dead inside, and you go through and you figure out what happened. And it's those moments are really cool. Yeah. I think it's worth it now checking out, especially if you already have it. Yeah, I'd recommend firing it up and just seeing. The opening I remember was kind of slow, but like throw an hour at it to get through that part, the introductory part. But then when you get a ship and you get off the the initial area and you're moving, it's kind of interesting.
I'll try and get to it at some point. I think you mentioned earlier, John, a game cancellation or something like that. We got to cover this, right? Eidos Montreal, those layoffs and a canceled game that happened recently. So they're cutting 124 jobs, and the studio head, David Anfossi, is leaving. We've since found out from Jason Schreier on a Reddit comment of all places that it was due to the cancellation of an original game that was in development for years and had a lot of issues. After that, we had a report from Insider Gaming that this game was being worked on for 7 years. It was codenamed P11, but supposedly named Wildlands, and it cost hundreds of millions of dollars. It was apparently an open-world third-person action game about a teenage protagonist named River, who was part of a magic-wielding group known as the Spirit Bounds. You could ride on a giant moose, apparently. Finally. Yeah, some kind of giant moose creature. Based on sources, the game was apparently almost complete, with plans to launch later this year.
The write down.
Yeah.
It's like a constant trend of this show. It's like write down. The thing that really hit hard was that because this game cost so much money, it didn't come out. It cost them a new Deus Ex.
Yeah. Well, it seems like that didn't get very far anyway.
It's unfortunate, and to me, it looks like Eidos Montreal is right now a support studio, and the only thing keeping them open is the fact that they're working on Grounded 2 and Fable.
Yes, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
they're just doing support because they haven't shipped anything since Guardians of the Galaxy, I think.
Yeah, that's a good game too. That's kind of sad.
What's sad is that this was a new IP, and like we just are like, I don't know about you, John. I love new IP, multi-million-dollar new IP. Come on, let's do it. Everyone's so risk averse.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm wondering. I mean, Jason said it was problematic. To what degree, I don't know. Maybe the game just wasn't good, but it sucks that like something new didn't get a chance to come out.
Yeah, I mean, even so, it's that studio. I just think once their contracts are up with these other games, I kind of feel like the fact that the lead left the studio kind of feels like they're done after these contracts are up with the support roles.
Don't say that.
I mean, the fact that they left, that just tells me they have nothing original left to do, and they're just gonna complete these contracts. I mean, what's with Embracer?
Yeah.
Embracer
must have looked at this game and was like, "Nope, you're a write-off."
Yep. So that's my belief is most likely Fable comes out. Maybe they have a few other things they have to do after launch. That division's gone, and then the Grounded 2, and then that division's gone, and then we just quietly hear about Eidos Montreal being like dissolved.
Sad.
It is unfortunate because again, I think Guardians of the Galaxy is a good game. Like you can pick it up now for cheap, and it's enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
Start to finish. It's one of those games. Start. You eventually finish it, and that's it. It's not like, hey, you're going to play this game forever. Nope, just go through it.
And that's a beautiful thing,
right? Isn't it
a lost art? And
it's not a super long game either. I mean, it's not like stupid short, but it's also not a game that's like, oh, it's a 50-hour experience. I think it was like a standard, 10 to 15-hour game.
Yeah, I think it's something like that.
Yeah. To double check.
John's looking it up now on how long.
I just want to make sure I'm not wrong. No, it was okay. No. The main story was like 17 hours. Okay, that's what I thought.
Oh, that's a decent. That's actually longer than I thought. I thought it was like 12.
Yeah. So it's a good game though. I meant to check the price on it because I feel like that game is like cheap now.
I've got it. I've got a copy.
What is it on PS5? Oh my gosh, it's it's $9.
For what? For physical?
And this is on the PlayStation Store when I looked it up because it's on sale, 85% off.
Yeah, you can buy a physical for like $20.
Is it that much? Oh yeah, because it was on PS4 as well. It is. It's $18 used at GameStop.
Wow, at GameStop. I went right to eBay.
Oh, what is it on Amazon?
Oh, I don't know.
People are already just buying it Like these old people picking up physical games.
Look at it, 20
wow.
free shipping.
Amazon's kind of expensive compared to everybody else. What is this? $28. $27.
What Amazon's like not the place to go for used stuff.
I just see it like new Prime shipped. And it's Saturday. That's multiple days from now.
Well, new, that actually seems to be the going rate for it. For PS5 at least.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm $9 digitally and it'll be here in 20 minutes.
Stop, John. Stop.
I already have the game. I already have it up there.
Stop with your indoctrination.
No, I feel like that was a game that on Black Friday or Cyber Monday over the last several years has been like $15 or something, $20.
I think that's what I got it for.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Guardians of the Galaxy. Genius. Great game. Great game. You honestly just pick it up and play it without even having much knowledge of the series or anything.
Mm. All right, next up we have Twisted Metal Season 3, some PS Productions news, this show, in trouble.
Oh.
Speaking on the Doughboys podcast, Mike Mitchell, who plays Stu on Twisted Metal, he said he expects not to return to the show because there was a big creative financial decision made by Peacock recently, and that means there's been huge turnover. So he said going into Season 3, showrunners gone, writing staff gone, several department heads gone.
It feels like stuff that's very important for the show.
I would be inclined to agree.
Huh.
I saw this. I was like, oh my God, like this is terrible. This means like the show's like not done, but like you just got rid of everybody that made the show good for Season 1 and 2.
So is Peacock in trouble or something?
I have no idea.
I mean, at least I don't think I have Peacock. I think for a while there it was tied into Comcast or something. So I just had it because it was tied into Comcast. But I think they stopped that. I don't, of all the subscription services, I have to be reminded that Peacock exists. So I feel like they probably are in trouble.
I read that. I'm like, that's like everybody that made this good. What are you doing?
Peacock.
And how do you get rid of a major character? Like, didn't he play a big role in the show?
You know, I wish I had watched the show so I could tell you right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's saying he's not showing up. So,
okay. I mean, they have subscribers. It says they have ended 2025 with 44 million paid subscribers.
In this economy, that's not enough.
Oh man. Okay, shut it down.
It was like 350 million people in the US. Come on, only 44 million.
1.4 billion in revenue during the fourth quarter.
Not enough.
Shut it down.
Not enough. Shut it down. Awful. Well, I mean, they're not shutting it down. They're going into Season 3 with a skeleton crew, I guess.
See, Ryan, you have to watch it. Radek says you have to.
I've said before, it's not a show that I'm in love with. Like Twisted Metal as an IP, I'm not in love with. I have many of the games and enjoyed them, but sorry, Radek. It's just one of those things, takes a back seat for me.
I don't think I have Peacock. If I had Peacock, maybe I would. I don't think I have Peacock though.
I think I've seen every PS production except this and the Gran Turismo movie.
Oh, it's also on Paramount Plus. I feel like Amazon Prime is somehow merged with Paramount Plus to where it gives me the episodes for some reason. So you know what? Maybe I'll look that up bespoke because then maybe I can watch it. I already watched Invincible and I watched The Boys episodes from this week and Daredevil. So I just needed, I guess I can get another episode in of something. A lot of good. You don't really call it TV anymore, right? What do we call it now?
TV.
But I'm not watching it on TV.
Yeah, you are. You're watching it on television.
No, I'm watching it through a subscription service on my monitor.
Oh, so you're watching it on your desktop.
Yeah, I watch it right here.
Okay, I think most people don't do that.
Second monitor right up there.
I would think most people are still using TVs.
Oh, yeah, TV is the catch-all term. That's a good point. That is a good point. Metal Knight. Yeah, it is. It is TV, television, app, shows.
Dude, I'm getting 2013 Xbox One PTSD. Why did we say TV so many times?
Is that a really weird thing to do? I feel like I have a show on while I'm doing other stuff. So I have that's why I have two monitors. Why else do you have two monitors?
Yeah, I actually want to agree with with Ben.
What? What? Hold on. How do you watch your shows? You just sit there at a TV, like in front of a TV, doing nothing else?
No, like, so shows like that,
Mhm.
I like watching, like, in my living room. I've got a 75-inch and a sound bar, and I like watching like higher production stuff on that.
Okay.
The whole like 2 monitor setup, like that's like, oh, I'll keep a YouTube video open in this tab. I'm not watching The Boys on that tab. I'm watching that on my big screen.
So let me explain to you why I can't watch The Boys on the big screen with 3 little kids running around.
I don't see the problem.
It's easier to have it on a
I don't
computer
see the
monitor where I can
problem.
quickly pause it. Or hey, I'll tell you what, the remotes don't always work first try, and The Boys needs the very reliable remote to pause it with everything that's happening in that show. That is not a good show for the living room 75-inch TV.
I mean, ironically, our YouTube metrics show that a lot of people watch even videos on YouTube, or on TV. So I guess it mix and matches in a weird way more than people tend to think it is.
I usually have something up here for that, like YouTube or Invincible or The Boys. So
okay. Well, John, if you want to clean up some super chats, I'm good with most of our news stories from this week.
let's see. We have Claw says, think we'll see more movie adaptation revenue if Sony doesn't want PC revenue, though I can't imagine they're happy about selling off KPDH.
Well, I think these things are all judged kind of in a vacuum.
Mhm.
So, like PlayStation Production still has its own like P&L statements, and I'm sure they're perfectly happy to keep doing more PS production stuff, like if it makes sense. And they've still got, like, I think a handful of other unannounced projects that are still going on too. So I'm not sure if it's like in direct relation to like the lack of PC revenue or something, just that they're still happy pressing on with the PS production stuff.
Toast says, what and when should we expect anything from Team Asobi? I would love a new Ape Escape, and I think they could pull it off.
That's actually, yeah, I would agree. They could do an Ape Escape. What Astrobot had a 3-year turnaround, which is like really good in this business. Launched in 2024, did some post-launch stuff. I think you can see their next game announced next year. I would think. What do you think, John?
I mean, I feel like they got to stick with Astrobot still. So, yeah, I mean, part of their I'm sure allure to Sony is that obviously they put out a Game of the Year winner, but they're also building up Astrobot as just a character. So, I think they build on those almost one-off levels they did, where you'd have Astro go into these different worlds, these different universes of games. I think you just build on that. I think that's how you do the next game. Feels different enough. You could pull mechanics from all these different games, and I think it'd be kind of fun. Let's see. Varang says, I just beat Margit and Godric in one life. The game is amazing. John, what weapon did you use the most? I am upgrading my Bloodhound Fang bleed for the win. Yeah, I had a bleed katana. I'm trying to remember what it was called. A bleed katana, and I think L2 would have a double slash. This was an Elden Ring. And that's how I defeated. I also had that one sword that had like a Kamea that you would shoot wave. That was pretty funny. But I think that was broken when the game first came out. I think they patched and kind of fixed it. But I definitely had a bleed katana that I used for just about the entire game to get through it. So that was my move. And it worked.
Damn.
You still haven't played Elden Ring?
Nope.
Man.
I'll get there.
Let's see. Talion says, if 20 years equals retro, was Super Mario 64 not retro in 2015?
It's 20 years.
Oh.
If it's 20 years, it's 20 years.
Well, Mario 64 would have been 19 then.
In 2015?
Yeah, it would have been like 19. So they're trying to get you on that.
I've seen that, like, that timeline is like trickery of like, well, if you think about this, specific year, does that mean that was retro? That's what they're doing right here. Listen, maybe I'm eating my own face here, but I stand by 20 years. But perhaps I was definitely referring to Mario 64 as retro in 2015.
Back then, generations moved a lot faster. I think that's another part of it.
Well, yeah, they just feel
generation was 5
older.
years long. Yeah. So, and we were advancing graphics so rapidly. 2015, we were, on the PS4 and Xbox One. So you look at that versus the N64, it's much different than go back 20 years from, today. And we're about to be talking about the PS3 being 20 years old. So, yeah.
Yep.
Bespoke says, people forgetting that the PS3 launched at $599 and PS4 launched at $399. PS5's price has no relation to PS6 because it uses completely different components. People need to take their chill pills and relax. Come on, Barbie, let's go party.
Well, I think the more fair comparison would be like late life cycle PS3 to PS4. But, obviously I get the point they're making. PS3 was always definitely an outlier. I think if you adjust for inflation nowadays, it's like $930 or something. It's like $930. But,
so a little less than the PS5 Pro with a disk drive.
Yeah, but that's everything obviously should be judged, situationally for what's going on at the time. Right. And so people, I think, have a natural expectation that based on existing prices, there's a worry that the next one would be even more expensive. I think it's a natural reaction to have. Just that, yes, these things, it will use different components. I always like to make the argument they'll have economies of scale. Everyone likes to act like they don't use that or that they won't subsidize. So I would still caution, let's wait and see what it is.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I will also say the PS3 completely over-engineered to the point where even Sony was like a year later, we probably don't need this thing reading super audio CDs. It's like they realized they didn't even need it playing PS2 games like that. They removed that functionality pretty quickly. PS1 stuck around because they could just emulate it, but they didn't need a whole PS2 inside the thing. But that was, even when they first showed it, they had 2 Ethernet ports on it, like 2 HDMI, like they had all this stuff going on when they first showed it at that
E3
event or whatever.
There was more stuff removed from it before the retail unit.
Yeah. I think about it this way. You look at the 4 USB ports on it. That was a big deal back then. It's like, why does this system have 4 USB ports?
Well, you can use them all. You can use them all. But prior to that, they wanted to put 6 on it.
What could have been?
PS3 to this day is still a very outlier, yes, over-engineered piece of kit.
Also, we're going to stick with x86. We understand we're probably going to 1.5 times the RAM that we have right now in the PS5 and PS5 Pro somewhat. And we're going up to GDDR7. This is all stuff that we know is expensive as it is. So we already kind of get an idea from the PC side, whereas back then with the PS3, and it was very difficult to do comparables between what does a video card cost and how much do we think the PS4 is going to cost from this video card. Like just the amount of, and even back then, I remember the PS4 leading into launch, we didn't think it would have 8 gigabytes of like GDDR memory at that time.
Yeah,
we weren't even expecting
GDDR5.
Yeah,
well, that was that was like a big after the console launched, a story that came out is it was Randy Pitchford, I think, that told Sony, and this was at the time when Sony opened up the development process for the console. So they would do studio site visits and they would ask the studios, what do you want to see in the next console? Like Bungie famously helped work on the controller. Randy Pitchford told them, if you go with 4 gigs, you're dead. Yeah. He famously said, you guys need to up the memory.
They doubled it. So, I don't know if they're in that kind of position now to be like, you know what, we really need 30 gigabytes GDDR7. I think again, my theory is they're going to turn in a spec sheet that people are going to look at and be like, oh, kind of thought it'd be more than that. But then they're going to use a lot of their tools behind the scenes and software side and try to push it over the finish line.
Bridge the gap. Yeah, bridge the visual gap that's expected.
I think that's what's going to happen. So. Thought Gardner says, hi guys, I don't have anything to say. Thanks for. That's it.
Thank
And then
you
they
very
say,
much.
Thought Carter says, Plat Expedition 33, I beg of you. It slaps so hard. I put it on the Xbox.
It'll
I enjoyed
happen.
it there. Ryan, you haven't played Expedition yet, have you?
It'll happen. It'll happen.
Oh,
It's high on the priority list. Like if I don't have any time between Rebirth and Saros, it's going to be after Saros.
we're gonna know. We're gonna know you've played it because you're gonna show up here as you're going through it, and you're gonna be like, I finished the first chapter, and you're not gonna know what to say or think.
John, shut
It'll
up.
be great. It'll be
Don't
great.
don't say one other single word.
It'll be great. It'll be
Shut
great.
up. Shh.
Toasty says, Spawn, when will you introduce your kids to M-rated games? I feel like we all played them way before we should have. I was definitely playing like Mortal Kombat way earlier than I should have been. Absolutely. We knew the blood code and everything. We should not have known that. So I don't know. They can live a life of like blissful ignorance as long as possible. They don't need to become old and jaded adults until they have to be.
John, the question you have to ask yourself as a parent is, do you let them find it themselves, or do you do it on your terms and expose them to it? Because
YouTube does its best to try to get it there, get there right away. So
yeah, I think they'll probably get to it before you do.
Yeah. I mean, they've been in the room and I've played maturity games, but not like, oh, I'm gonna run at this scene in I'm gonna turn on Resident Evil or something. No, it's like, hey, I'm playing Crimson Desert or something when I'm in the world flying around or stuff like that. It's nothing like seriously intense or anything. But I mean, you feel like they get double digits, 12, 13, 14, you're like, they're not 17, but I mean, we were ripping people's heads off Mortal Kombat 2 and we were like 9. So 8 or 9. So what are you gonna do? Red Ballin says, y'all the goats of gaming news.
Appreciate
I agree. I don't know what currency that is. The 10.0000. There's 3 digits after that decimal point.
It's just 10 units of money. That's all we need to know.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
Toasty says, Days Gone 2, Herman, I'm ready.
You gotta ask Ben.
Yeah, that'd be a twist if that's what they're working on, but I don't think so.
Yeah, very likely not.
I don't think so.
The talent that creatively pursued that game aren't even there.
All right, Ryan. You want to hit us with the finish?
PSX gonna give it to you. This is the topic of the show, John, where we go over something cool, old, unique, nostalgic, a cool factoid about PlayStation history, teach the kiddos something they didn't know about PlayStation. I've seen this conversation come up all the time about PlayStation. It's the tried and true conversation of PlayStation versus Nintendo. Are they competitors? Are they not competitors? And there is some historical quotes that we can fall back on for how PlayStation really feels about it. So near the height of the PS1's popularity, the media often focused on very much that, PS1 versus the N64 rivalry. But Ken Kutaragi, the father of PlayStation, did not see it that way at all. At the time, he said, quote, mass media asked us who our competitor was, and they expected me to say Nintendo. However, I didn't think such a thing, and I didn't regard Nintendo as our competitor. So I answered, maybe it would be cell phone. And they didn't understand what I said then. It was not until iPhone was launched when they finally understood what I said. End quote. Mr. Ken Kutaragi is a fascinating man to dissect because, what he's explaining there is like, no, I think it might be like this future technology that doesn't really take off until much later, because we're talking about like 97, 98, again, like the height of PS1 versus N64. Mm-hmm. And at least from him personally, and this is like a very important thing to call out here, because this was also when PlayStation was a very regional company. So, you had a Europe marketing team, an American marketing team. And so obviously it's quite clear when you have the ads about Crash showing up to the NAO headquarters. And of course they were rivals, but like when you ask certain creative people and somebody as high up as Ken, they tend to give you different answers. And so Ken did have that opinion of, no, not really. But he was always a very forward-thinking individual. He would always think very far ahead. And so his answer was cell phone back then. because he sort of saw where, you know, technology was going to advance over time. And I always find that pretty interesting from Kutaragi-san.
Cell phone. That's what he saw as the
at that time. Yeah.
Wow. That's way in advance.
Yeah. It is a way in advance.
Interesting.
I don't know if he like really understood the concept of like, I guess like screen time, because that's really like a big problem nowadays. But I think he's more getting into the field of like when they could start playing games. Because technically, like iPhone games nowadays, that's not really pulling away people the way that how phones pull people away. It's like just TikTok screen time more than anything. But conceptually, he had this like the threat process to him was that's a device that will play games down the road, and that's a competitor to us.
Right, because everyone will have, well, for the most part, he probably figured people are going to buy phones for things outside of games, but then games will come to those phones. And I don't know if he envisioned the idea of like what the iPhone ended up introducing to the market, which was this touch screen only device. But the idea was, hey, it's going to have an app store. It's going to have these apps. I remember when the iPhone first showed up, old people talk, but when the iPhone first showed up, the breakthrough, while it was weird because you didn't have a keyboard with your phone, the breakthrough I remember was this app store. The idea that you have apps on your phone, that you browse the internet with a touch screen through like their browser on your phone. That was a big deal back then. And I was like, what is this? That opened up a whole world of possibilities. So if he saw that, I don't know if he saw exactly that, but if he was like, man, eventually these things are going to run on these phones and people will have them and they won't have a need to go out and get a PlayStation because they'll have a phone. You know, it kind of explains some of the stuff Sony was playing around with their phone at the time. Remember they did the Xperia Play and they're like, maybe we should think about trying to introduce some gaming stuff into our phone line. And it didn't work out, but them just attempting it and putting money into R&D for it is kind of actually lines up.
Yeah, I would think his thought process in the late 90s was that phones are a device that people are going to need. Like, so like they're not going to reach that kind of audience. Like it's going to become a utility device, and PlayStation's not a utility. So their threat would be this device that people are going to have no matter what. And if those can play video games, that's going to be a big concern to them. Which he wasn't even around long enough. Like, you know, he left 2007. That's a year before the iPhone, and the iPhone, or excuse me, no, yeah. Oh wait, that was a year before iPhone, and the App Store didn't launch on the iPhone until I think the following year. Mm-hmm. So, you know, that there was unless he's like talking about like Java games, but I mean, I think you get the point.
I mean, even back then you had Snake. That was a time killer. At least people would, play Snake on the old Nokia bricks. And I mean, that was still a thing. And I remember that was like 2004, 2005 when people were really doing that. So it was a basic thing, but maybe he saw something similar to that and was like, oh, okay, maybe we'll get to a point where people can just play games on their phone and pull their attention away from our system that, I mean, the PS2 could do DVDs and CDs, but it still wasn't like now you can have all these apps on your PS5 and PS4, and it can literally be the center of your multimedia, setup. But man, that's interesting. Wow.
Yeah. Ken saw a lot. He was a very smart person.
That's interesting. Well, there was a patent where Nintendo had the idea of like a phone. They had like Yoshi on the phone. A patent way back when. So I feel like even Nintendo, I almost wonder if there was ever a moment where if Ken saw the potential of what phones could end up being a threat to them, if even Nintendo at the time was like, man, what about that Nokia like brick phone? Should we make a Nintendo phone? Sony kind of made a PlayStation phone, so.
Well, that's the difference though. They're like this was when Sony was still consumer electronics.
Yeah.
And Nintendo has always, for the most part, always been video games.
Yeah.
So that means they break into like this secondary, adjacent market that they have no presence in.
No, now we just have our phone stuff's all entrenched at this point. So
yeah,
it's pretty straightforward.
That's all I've got for you, John.
All right. I think I got everything here on our chats. Shout out to everyone that came out and stuck with us for 2.5 hours, man. These episodes, they're getting longer and longer. Not quite the 3-hour mark, but still pretty good. Still pretty good.
Yeah,
Had
decent
300, 350 some odd people sticking with us. Appreciate it. All the people out there. Thanks for tuning in. Got a couple of weeks. We'll be back at it again. Actually, the week just before Sorrows comes out, and then we'll be back after that, I assume, on the 7th to talk about our time with the game, because I'll be playing it right away. And I feel like Ryan will too, because he will not want me to talk about the game and ruin things for him before that. So I feel like this is going to be a game where you are going to like power through this thing.
I mean, I will definitely be playing day one, not early access. I will very much be
physically. Yeah.
I will be very much inserting a disc in on April 30th. And yeah, I will be pretty much playing it all weekend.
Awesome. Cool. So we'll be able to talk about it quite a bit, actually. At that time, we might have already beaten it by then. I mean, it's been a week later. So yeah,
I imagine it's beatable in like, same time as Returnal, maybe.
Yeah. So that'd be cool. All right. Good stuff. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Appreciate it. We'll be back in a couple of weeks. Do it all over. We'll see you guys then.